Futures back to the upside here once again this morning as we get going on Fed Minutes Day. We'll get the latest minutes from the FOMC meeting back in January coming up at 2 o'clock this afternoon. A bit of a look inside to see how much arguing there was before the last decision came through. We'll touch on that coming up. Before that, though, we are seeing a little bit of a bump in individual names across the board. Big deal or extension of a deal this morning with Nvidia and Meta. We'll touch on both of those. Meta not doing a heck of a lot. It did bounce on this or got a nice pop on this after the close yesterday, but coming right back in. Nvidia a little bit higher here this morning. Again, same story. Did get a nice pop after the close on this. Disregard that. Big red candle right now. Some deep prints coming through. An extension of a deal on the chip side for both of those. We'll talk about that. Mark Zuckerberg going to be testifying today as well in this child addiction case when it comes to social media. So a little bit of back and forth as far as that is concerned. It's 13F season, so we got to look at what Berkshire was up to in the last quarter. They were selling Apple again, a little bit more of a trim for their position in Apple, but basically out of Amazon.
Exactly.
70, almost 80% of their position sold for Amazon. A little bit of a surprise.
One of the last moves, of course, for the OG Warren Buffett before he cedes the helm to Greg Abel. Obviously, one person's garbage, maybe another person's treasure. Bill Ackman looking at getting into Amazon. He's picking up some as well. So we'll get into that. Amazon breaking that aggressive down streak that it's on back above 200. Brendo trying to break through 204. Interesting look there. Tesla also in focus. They're not going to get suspended, or their sales are not going to be suspended in California as the regulator there gives them the nod with respect to advertising and FSD. Netflix, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Skydance back in focus.
Here we are again.
Yeah. Netflix giving Warner Brothers, allowance, so to speak, to entertain more offers from PSKY. We'll have to see how that does. SanDisk also down. What's it called? Western Digital removing some of their stake as well. Yeah,
an offering coming through on that as well, which was a bit of a surprise. A couple things with on the earnings front. This one, PanW, downside big time. We're actually rolling over a little bit right now. It did hold 150 at the bottom there for Palo Alto. Revenue higher, profit, a little bit of a issue there for PanW. The guidance a little bit soft as well. So it could be one to watch coming up today. There's a headline on Microsoft. I noticed though it wasn't really doing a heck of a lot up here with the overall market. Volume very low. This is 400, which was a bit of a shelf the past couple of days here for Microsoft, but having trouble with that. What do you think we're going to hear today from these FOMC minutes? I mean, there was a few more dissents, if I remember correctly. This is going back to January. So, I mean, it's very much hindsight at this point, but I mean, I don't think there's anything that could come from this that would be significant.
I mean, to be quite honest with you, it's becoming more of a divided Fed, right? It's still a chair-centric Fed.
Yeah.
So, make of that what you will. But obviously, differing opinions kind of could fester behind the scenes. And so I'd like to see which ones were more worried about jobs, which ones were more worried about the actual inflation print still not being at that target of 2%, and exactly, what kind of compromises they were making in between. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I feel like a lot of this is moot. Right?
Exactly.
Because we're coming to that, we're a lot closer to May, right, than we were when we were discussing the original change. But Brendo, you got to figure we get in a new Fed, and he's got President Trump's agenda at the fore. What do they do?
But if you consider exactly what you're saying, it's a very split Fed. Everyone on Warsh's side, if you want to call it that,
sure,
and everyone on Powell's side, they're going to play the team game until May. So
feels like that.
To your point, it's probably going to be an absolute nothing burger ahead of that. So we'll see what happens at 2 o'clock. Could be absolutely nothing. Could be interesting, but that's coming up later this afternoon. As far as themes today, we'll touch on some of these mining moves over the past couple of days as well. Raheem's coming up at 8:30. Is going to continue the conversation on gold and silver. I noticed both were downside here a little bit today. Silver leaking, getting under some key support areas on a higher time frame. So maybe that trade comes back into play. We'll talk to him coming up at 8:30, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. And maybe not the best morning for Palo Alto shareholders, but the good news The good news is if you look at the guidance, everyone's looking at the EPS guidance, and there was a couple items there that maybe had the guide out of whack, but it was actually a pretty good revenue guide. But like all other tech names, doesn't matter, your report, you're gonna go down. And it was the patented pop and drop, so I feel like we're a broken record about these earnings, but another pop and drop here for Palo Alto. They're at a pretty key level on the daily that does bear watching. So look, there's individual names to look at today. I think some themes from yesterday that you saw. Tech managed to rally and look pretty good. Crypto didn't really do much of anything. While we had a rebound in tech names, you have names like Palantir, which had a nice double bottom last week and rallied most of the day. Another gap up today. There is a bit of a catalyst here for them as well, but reality is I think you're just getting some continuation for a few names, not all that are bouncing. And Apple had a big day yesterday. Nvidia's up a couple of points. That's looking like it wants to retest those 90s. Yeah, so there's going to be some stuff to watch. We'll see what happens at 2 o'clock with the Fed minutes. But we're not getting a cut in March, so I guess we're looking to see the likelihood of a the mid-year. Are we still looking at 2, just more than 2? I don't think that'll. I don't want to call it a nothing burger, but I guess I'm calling it a potential nothing burger. Don't think it'll necessarily move the markets. But one thing to keep the eyes on: there are tensions in Iran. There's talk of that there could be an escalation of that conflict. So, if you're trading oil and looking at oil prices, you really do need to keep your ear to the ground, as that story is still unfolding. Yep, going to be a lot to watch. I think we have Raheem coming today, although we're currently getting it's pretty already started. We're getting like a bit of freezing rain in the city.
And it's supposed to be 10 to 20 centimeters of snow.
And then snow later. Yeah. It starts with a freezing rain, then you get the snow after.
I think it's starting now.
It's going to be a bit of a mess today in the city.
Yeah, it was nice to come in and have no bad weather on the drive in, but apparently it started freezing rain and everything, so it's going to be a problem.
That's all.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I don't know. I've been saying long Nvidia here heading into the report, which is next Wednesday. And then now they get a partnership there, AI partnership with Meta. So that's great. So now we're going to watch out for Nvidia. It's going to be on here, traded. Hopefully a big trade today for Nvidia. Well, I mean, I want to be long. It's already up 2%, so it's already kind of kicking up here. 2% on this $4 trillion company is big, right? So the market cap already today, quite nice. We'll see if it can get going through this 189.20 area. And yeah, I like the fact that Tesla sort of avoids that 30-day suspension. They're removing the autopilot classification, and California is happy with that. So all roads ahead for Tesla. 0.4, not really doing too much, kind of with the market there. Yeah, I was looking at, I'm just writing down silver right here today as well, because starting to battle back a little bit here, up 3.6%. And generally speaking, when silver's up, sure, it'll play around in this area, but I do want to watch VWAP. I do want to watch a long bid today for SLV, and just thinking, and we talked about it yesterday, right? What's going to happen when it breaks that area? Well, I think today it's trying to run away from that just a little bit here. So we do have our good outs if we do get into 64, 65. So there's going to be lots of opportunity here to trade this name. And silver, I like it there today. I'm not as excited. I know, our thumbnail is talking about Fed minutes and all this kind of stuff. It's never really a needle mover, but as these guys are saying, today we could get a little bit of talk, especially with a new Fed chair coming in. Lisa Cook's situation still up in the air. And it's always nice to see the dissents and all that kind of stuff, and who they were and what they were talking about, so we can get a better idea of what the future looks like here. And maybe there's some talk about AI, and who knows? We'll see. Broken down regionally, we'll see what's going on there as well. VHUB. I just saw launch something, VHUB. Is it doing anything today? No, 3. So this is not doing anything, 47,000. This was a mover there yesterday. Yeah. VenHub announced global launches automated shelf stocking system.
That's the one with the just absurd chart, like the
Nothing
daily
going on today.
VHUB.
Yes.
Where it basically debuted, and
that's what I didn't understand about that debut. That was a crazy one.
Insane. It doesn't get any uglier than that. And then it had kind of like a bunch of pump and dumps yesterday, pumped up, and actually still holding some of the gain. But you know what is a small capper that is going to be in play today? Ondas. ONDS was on an absolute tear in the afternoon, broke through $10, through 980 first, which is a key level, through $10, and now it's going to challenge the 50 on the daily here, 50-period simple moving average on the daily. So this small capper is in play. If it retests this prior, I kind of have like a range, like $9.80 to $10, I think can be a nice little buy zone. Back into the close, back into this prior high, if we can't just clean break out this local top. So yeah, there's going to be some small cappers in play. ONDS got some good volume with it as well. So it should be an interesting one. I'm pretty sure Sharif will like ONDS today. It's gapped higher. It's above VWAP. It's usually in the wheelhouse. There's always, yesterday you had a few that died really quickly, like Rhyme, where they just pop. Let's see if there'll be some better ones.
Hopefully, Neil. We'll keep definitely an eye on ONDS. It is, as you were mentioning, coming into some critical levels. That 10.5 is an important level, 10 to 10.5. And the reason is a lot of interactions with this, Brendo. Back in late January, we're using 10.5 as support. We lose it quite aggressively all the way down into that 7 2/3. And then look at this, lo and behold, we work our way up to 10. We're struggling with 10. So this 10 and 10.5 area is definitely going to be one that I keep my eye on. But I do like the uptrend ever since the lows that we put in on the 5th of February. It has been putting in higher lows, but still struggling with that same level.
Yeah, another one pretty strong here so far this morning. Palantir with a nice upgrade from Mizuho coming through. 195 on the price target for this. Yeah, it's at 137 if you haven't checked this morning. So a nice gap up 2 days in a row here. Nice strong price action anyways. Finally getting a bit of a turn here for PLTR. That's $60 higher for the price target here on from Mizuho.
That's a nice little premium there, Brendo. But as all these other software stocks, as we've been watching the last couple of weeks, whatever you want to call it, software Armageddon, the Armageddon of software, the Armageddon of SaaS. I'm sure there's a funny, mix of words that we can through. Exactly, SaaS-mageddon. A lot of what Palantir's AIP system, let's just be honest, right? It goes into your computer, it learns how you function, the inefficiencies, it identifies inefficiencies, it shows you how to be a little bit more efficient. But you were experimenting with something very similar on the weekend, lovingly called Claudebot or whatever they're calling it now.
OpenClaw.
OpenClaw, sorry, I wasn't down with the new lingo. No, but seriously though, isn't it exactly, not exact, but it goes into your computer, it understands what you're doing, right? It starts doing it on your behalf and makes efficiencies very, very apparent. And this concerns me about these type of names that are just ripe for disruption, because they're ripe for disruption now, not into the future.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, Palantir might be a little bit different from the defense standpoint, but the base technology, I mean, you're absolutely right. I dug into it a little bit further yesterday on the OpenClaw side of things, and there's tons of them. There's another one that's called Agent Zero. I've never heard of before, but it operates on the same premise. You install it on your machine itself, and it basically is learning technology as you continue to do your work. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it's the rate at which this continues to develop and progress is just staggering. So I mean, I don't think we're there yet because there's a lot of limitations with. From my perspective anyways, if you're not running OpenClaw on something that's server-based or on all the time, it seems kind of useless. Like you have to be able to, A, make sure it's doing what you're telling it to, and B, it can never go down.
Exactly.
But from what I was reading yesterday, there are other options and other alternatives that have the ability to store memory or have memory files and store your instructions a little bit better than that one does.
Well, that's interesting, but that's obviously going to be the natural extension of that and the security that we've seen. Obviously, subject to prompt injections from foreign actors online. That obviously needs to be shored up if we're going to trust it with any sort of information. But here's what Mizuho was saying, just to bring it back to Palantir. They upgraded Palantir to outperform from neutral for whatever reason, with a $195 price target, reflecting renewed confidence after a recent multiple compression. Its analyst Greg Moskowitz out at Mizuho, he previously warned about potential multiple reversion, but he now sees the D rating largely complete. The risk to reward setup, according to him, is more attractive at current levels.
From a higher view on this, it's interesting. This whole technology is really interesting because it's almost the output that has become more resourceful and more useful in a sense versus the actual model itself.
That's actually
because the output is utilizing the model to produce exactly what you are telling it to. So everyone was kind of sitting around thinking that, oh, we're waiting for the models to become, super intelligent and start communicating with each other. But it's actually the output that seems to be moving further in that direction. So, I mean, it's unbelievable what you can do with this thing. I mean, talking to it on WhatsApp or on Google Chat or just like it's a human being. Like,
hold on. So you can be remote. Your computer's at home.
Yeah.
It's running. What are they called? OpenClaw.
OpenClaw.
Right. And then so you send it a text via WhatsApp. And you give it instructions, and then it follows the instructions.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
And then when it's done, it sends you the finished product in that same that same chat.
Who needs a first year?
No, it's exactly. It's like you have a little digital assistant that's just
I didn't know that.
Works 24/7, just does whatever you tell it to. So, I mean, again, I think it's very, very early, but you can see the direction that this is heading is just unbelievable. But anyways. A whole bunch there, guys. OpenAI, there was a couple of headlines on that this morning as well. They actually, if you missed it yesterday, Sam Altman came out on Sunday, I think it was, late Sunday, and said they were bringing this guy on, the creator of OpenClaw, and they had hired him. So I read yesterday, though, that OpenClaw itself was going to remain an independent foundation because that was his wishes, and he wants it to remain open source because it's open source right now. It's completely free.
Yeah.
Anyone can utilize it, but I'm sure they end up with something similar in the near future.
Yeah, like one of the cool things, I know you were sort of saying it sucks for Claude, you have to leave it on, but you think about the real implications of that. Your growth is the first going to be like an enterprise, right?
I can't think of what I'd use it for.
Well, it depends on what your job would be. Like for my wife, where you're always going to be, like she works from home like 2-3 days a week and you're going through a lot of data and it's on the PC, like leaving it on and then being able to like have it run a task data sorting while you're out shopping or whatnot, and then it can kind of punch you the results and maybe you fire that off.
It seems like things like that are so easy to do, and
don't get me wrong, like it's like right now for the everyday person, I don't know that those uses would be that huge.
Right.
But there are certain jobs where it would make some sense, and I think it's more just the fact that like right now everyone is in this wow stage of the discovering, oh my goodness, how cool and groundbreaking it's going to be. And understanding that it is going to be disruptive, but it's like, how fast will it be? And I feel like there's a lot of throwing stuff out that is like, oh no, Palantir is going to get completely disrupted. Every single software name is going to get completely disrupted. That's probably not going to be the case. I think it'll be easier to try to find the names that do have a stronger ability to adapt and moat around them, as opposed to who's going to get thrown out with the bathwater. Like, and the government's usually historically pretty slow to react, if we're being real. That being said, if we just go back to brass tacks on Palantir for a quick little second, because I think like yesterday we're talking about this double bottom. It didn't do I'm not calling this a real breakout over Friday's high yesterday, so we're gapping above it now, but the breakout really didn't materialize until we get this gap. So I'm still thinking pull back, hold a prior day high, like that kind of a dip and rip story. If that's going to be the case, maybe we don't even dip, but that 134 is the prior day high. And then there's this 138, which could just clean break with room to 140. So there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there that I think in terms of day two play doesn't really count because it wasn't like earnings or anything. But call it a continuation play on this bounce that are set up pretty well. I know a lot of times we sound a little bit bearish, but there was a question just now in the chat. Where is it? Someone asked, how do you think OpenClaw will change trading? I'll tell you this, almost all the traders I talk to, they now use AI in some form to curate what stocks they're going to look at, to go over their results on different strategies, to figure out like certain like fundamental metrics that are pretty simple. Like an example, like I used to have this like complicated spreadsheet that I used for like figuring out fair values of buyout. It's such a joke now because I can literally just I can just be like, this is the article, give me the, I don't even have to do any work. I just tell them when the expected close is, and then you tell me what the fair value is right now. It's silly.
Yeah, I don't.
There's little things in there that all traders are using, but I think going over your data, like your trading data in terms of what's working and what's not, is the one that I hear the most.
Yeah, like how we're trading here, like I know less than a handful of traders that actually make money doing what I'm showing you every day. So most of the traders right now are using some sort of algo, and you could see that. I mean, even just looking and always seeing all these prints in between and all these dark pools, everything like that. So this is a very, very tough sort of thing to do in the minute. I think if you're like an investor or a swing trader or something like that, then all this little noise that's in between, that really where some of the high frequency trading and this technology really benefits, doesn't, as far as swing trading is concerned or larger time frames, I think you're at a little bit more of an advantage to be able to, like we were saying, back test off of some technical indicators or something like that. But, within the seconds and minutes, sometimes that's extremely difficult to do. And I think that's where AI and some of these fast, quick order entry machines and stuff like that really get benefits, and that's the whole thing. Palantir just got another deal with Rackspace right now, by the way. So yeah, look, Palantir is going to be one of the top plays for me today. I mean, finally you're getting that upgrade. And I had said that I don't want to dip by this until we get into 90 or $100, like down into this area right there, which is exactly 100. So we stop 30% away from that, now get a little bit of an upside tick here. Look, we already talked about, in the note, in our watch list, it's talking about improved margin, scalability, a wider moat as far as, not residential, commercial versus governmental contracts. And so Palantir does have, Karp loved the quarter and everything. It got hit in SaaSmageddon over there, thanks to Brendan for that one. And I just think that, like, part of that is what it is, and it's a reweighting of a lot of the names in the space. We saw the IGV yesterday down with 2.3% or something, and probably kicking back up there today. But then, like, you get a name like Palo Alto, that guided lower. So obviously they're seeing something potentially. It's nice to see this maybe going up today. But this is the software basket. You can go check out all the stocks that are in here. This has been absolutely destroyed over the last month or so, going from like, let's call it 110 down to $80. Like, this is a big basket of stocks. But what I was getting at there with Palo Alto is they guided lower. And their quarter now was good. So some of this, I wonder if it's just like a little bit of a fear thing where they're very uncertain of what this whole AI revolution will do to their stock or to their business. So they are a little sort of kitchen sinking it a little bit now, just in case, the worst is around the corner. But like, I just don't see, if you're a multi-billion, trillion-dollar company to some extent, you're not gonna, you have to protect your data. And PanW, CrowdStrike, Zscaler, like all of these stocks need to have a place, I believe, in a longer term portfolio, because like
PanW's they're literally making, they made an acquisition this morning of an Israeli company to integrate AI agents, because they understand that truth. And the thing, the baby with the bathwater thing makes a lot of sense, because when you think about what's going on, there's a big difference between using and housing data still needs to be done. Like all of these firms, like, that's great. The software that you might use to analyze, the software that you might use to spit out whatever it is that you need, that's one thing. But you still, like, there still needs to be housing data, and there's software for that, and then there's cybersecurity for that. That's still an integral part of the game. Like, think of a big insurance company. That part of it's not getting disrupted. It's like this weird umbrella is supposed to take everybody down. So look, don't get me wrong, like I like PanW, I like the acquisition. They closed one acquisition and they made a smaller one here today, understanding that
you're just below the tariff tantrum area.
That's the crazy thing. The fact that you have a company like that back at the tariff tantrum levels is maybe a little surprising. That's probably the best way to think about it.
Yeah, we are, I've always said it, shout out to 1320 Wolf there about the 3-day rule. Yeah, you don't need to go in now. We did the 3-day rule on Lululemon. It was amazing. We talked about it on Intel. We talked about that, So it's just like, I still think there's unfortunately a little more downside to come right here. So I would watch it break the 150 level and then see what winds up happening there, because it is at a great level to think about buying it, right? I mean, you just come all the way back to, this is, as I was saying, the tariff levels. There's April right there. So you're right at these levels. Again, I know our charts don't do it justice because of that move there, but let me just look here on PanW on a daily chart just to see how far back this level does actually go right now. So now you're into 150. So yeah, it gets pretty nasty. There's actually not that much there at all besides this move down, and that wick is 144. So I would say, like, yeah, that's probably potentially where we're going right there. And that's why, here, CIBR, this is the ETF that I've talked about numerous times on the show here. So if you look in right here, nice little destruction of this ETF as well over the last couple months, getting you into a decent level today where potentially you want to buy the basket. So CIBR, cybersecurity. We're excited, man. We're a couple minutes away. We should have, like you're saying, a weather pending. We should have Raheem come through.
Hopefully.
And that should be happening very, very shortly. So, yeah,
we also have, there's some data this morning, because it's already 8:26. Oh my goodness. And we got building permits in a few minutes, and then we've got housing starts as well. And, durable goods. There's a few data points that are going to be coming through in literally 4 minutes. For some reason, I'm thinking, we got like 10 minutes until 8:30.
8:30 right now.
But we have only a few minutes, and then we'll get some data. And then, of course, there's Fed speak before we get to the Fed meeting minutes at 2 o'clock. It's Bowman will be talking at 1. There's a 20-year note auction. But most of the numbers are coming in just a couple of minutes, and we'll get those to you. Hopefully, Raheem will be through as well. And hey, you know what I love to see? I love when we have activity in the chat and people are adhering to our request that you use that $. I saw in the chat SNDK, short, with a few puke emojis.
Yeah, I believe that.
So it's down 3.5%. It was an offering for these guys, but do remember, if you don't have to put puke emojis, you can just be interested in a ticker. And when you are interested in a ticker, let's just throw, I don't want to put PanW or Palo Alto or Palantir because we were just talking about those. So I'll throw in like ONDS. Whoops, I made a typo. ONDS. And if you're in the chat right now and you're interested in a symbol, or you're watching something, you think we should be looking at something, or you want us to talk about something, then go $ and that ticker. There's APLD, there is SNDK, Palantir shows up. Right now, Nvidia leads the way, Palantir number 2, PanW 3. No surprises whatsoever. Hey, somebody cares about Wingstop. At least one.
Yeah, Raheem.
14% after earnings. Raheem is all about the wings.
He loves your wings.
We haven't ordered wings in a while. Although I suppose,
we just make them.
Yeah, it's one of those, the lunches, when you get the lunch here, we don't always order out, but the next holiday, when they're not delivering us food, maybe we should get wings again.
We did get
We got a huge wings order one time, but they didn't label it properly, and it was,
you mean here, yeah.
utter mess. Trying to make sure, because we had like a dozen orders of wings, everyone had a different thing, and
I thought they were labeled, but they were.
No, they didn't label.
No, they didn't label.
It's not a big deal. Like, it wasn't the end of the world. We did the tacos, the same thing happened. But with only a couple of minutes to go till some data, we'll go back up to the desk, get you the numbers, and hopefully we'll have Raheem a bit later.
All right, Sharif and I were just talking about this one as well. A bit of a surprise from Berkshire, NYT being added to the tune of 300 or so million on the long side of things. And if you zoom out, that's a weekly chart for New York Times since 2023. I mean, this thing's more than double.
Yeah.
For the New York Times. This is a newspaper we're talking about right now?
How are they making money again? Is it subscribers? Is it advertising?
Must be.
It's been a hell of a story here, guys. So I was just doing, like, to mention what Brenda was just saying there. Sorry, this is not the right one. NYT is the ticker. I'm typing NYT. Sorry, here it is. This was very surprising to me because they have a double bottom in the end of the 2022 sell-off, October 2022, when we started making highs. Yeah. If you take that double bottom, Brendo, and you take it to the price spike up this morning, we're up 170%. Right, and that's not something that I would have pegged. And so obviously Berkshire Hathaway selling some of their Apple stake, selling some of their Amazon stake, and one of the main things, and one of the last possible moves here for the old man, we're talking, of course, about Warren Buffett, is to get into New York Times. And what a level. And that was a clean breakout too, Brendo. I don't know if you had a look at this, but that $55 to $60 level was a bit of a hard level to pass, and cleared it pretty easily the last few weeks.
It's one of those stocks, and we were talking about this at the beginning of the week, where it's something you would least expect doing very, very well this year. And here we are talking about the New York Times, which is wild.
And I totally forgot about this. Remember how many deals they struck with these LLM companies so that they could train off
selling
their data?
information,
and they were litigating with them. I think OpenAI was one of the first companies they took to court. And basically, it's almost like a Reddit situation, right? Where you're just licensing your data, licensing your information off which to train. That couldn't be better for these models. And if you look at where the breakout was, 2020, I think October, November 2022 is when we got chat, right? And then 2023 was the breakout craze for AI. And look at the chart since that time.
Who has benefited? Just getting some of this data coming through here right now. Durable goods for December on the month-over-month side of things, negative 1.4%. The consensus positive, or that was the prior, 5.3% was the prior. Consensus was negative 3.4%, so a little bit better than expected. Housing starts for December, 1.4 million versus 1.3 expected on that number. This is trickling in very, very slowly. Housing starts for November just coming through, 1.32 million, 1.27 was the number on that. Building permits, 1.448. For December, for November, 1.38. None of this is going to matter for the market overall, but big data dump here, guys, on the housing side of things coming through.
It's not really doing too much to the market here at all. You know, the Nasdaq, a little bit of a bump up right there. I mean, you know, housing names don't really move too much on this. Lennar. Well, look at the spread. The spread is $6 right now. So yeah, absolutely nothing going on right here for that. Yeah, when you talked about NYT, immediately you nailed what I was thinking about, Sharif, there, and that was just the fact that these large language models pay for data, right? And so as we get more and more justifiable data, you know, you're looking for reasonable articles, you know, potentially like, you know, vetted places, and I guess New York Times there. Interesting because, I mean, it's been doing quite awesome there since November. Like we talked about Nvidia basically being at the same price, you know, it's been for the last 8 months. Well, if you switched over your favor to NYT back in May, you'd be $52 to 75. So you'd be getting a 50% increase right there. Meanwhile, a lot of these tech names sit there and do nothing. So it's just another story of another name working in a space that you might have not thought about, right? And that's kind of a reason why I like Reddit, you know, at some of these levels as well. I mean, this name obviously goes like crazy volatile, and I was always thinking that Reddit had some, you know, levers to pull as well as far as these LLMs are concerned. So this is, if you're looking at Reddit right now, this is at a decent level as well, dropping from 260 down to 140. Like wow, right there for RDDT. So I think there's, you know, room in people's portfolios for some Reddit as well. So I like these sort of you know, content plays. I think that's what we're looking for these days in the space is to create more, you know, vetted content for these LLMs, because most people, like I said, I have no idea how I'd use OpenClaw unless it was to learn how to trade. So I would just use LLMs for those kind of reasons, you know, ask it how to do things and things like that. So I don't know.
Well, it's 100%. Like if you sort of think about, like Reddit's a curious one because it's getting beaten up so badly despite that. But to your point about like the New York Times, I think the best way to think about it when we look at this whole circumstance of like Nvidia can't get through 192 or whatever, and it's been going sideways for a while, and you have so many aspects of the market which are going up, and so many stocks that look fantastic on trends, whether it is Walmart or New York Times or Caterpillar or energy names. Like there's so many out there. It just comes down to, well, if you're heavy in tech, just have a couple of other things in your portfolio that are performing well. And I just saw in the chat someone was asking about silver today. And it's interesting, like today I didn't have silver on the note because I felt like we were in the middle of nowhere on SLV. Like you're literally gapped between Friday and yesterday's trade, right in the middle of this little precipice. But if we got up to the tops, like Friday's highs in here where the resistance was, I'd probably look for a mean reversion play and then try to, like at that point, like if there'd probably be some play where it's trending up and therefore ZLS would be trending down into this support level at about I think we had, this long on Friday was pretty good off of about 240. So I think if we got down here on ZSL or meaning up there on silver at 71, a mean reversion would look like a bit of a play there. But it's nowhere close. It's diddling in the middle, which is why it wasn't on the note for me. Oh, we got a super chat. Nick Dubs.
Oh, good.
We got a super chat in here. I'm on the wrong page, so let's see if I can quickly find it. And I'm there. So let's throw it up for everybody to see. Nick W says, Sean or Neil, could you analyze swing trade on Astera Labs? You've been looking to short it down to 100 to the 95 level, looking to short Palantir to 100. Well, Astera is, we have a key for what's going on in Astera Labs. And this isn't one of those, okay, we're pulling up the chart and it's not really a flat bottom. No, this one was. It gapped through a support level. So, I mean, obviously, Nick W, I feel like we always know what you're getting at here. So pretty significant level around this 140. There was a prior high in 2024. You gapped underneath, and now you're consolidating for trend down. It lost to 50. It lost to 200. It just looks like a trend trade. Again, we're not here to give anybody advice, but all I can tell you is if I see a flat top break, we think continuation on stocks that are strong, right? Like it's a pretty standard thing. It kind of goes to the same point if you're looking underneath. It's not doing anything today. Like I don't think anyone's hyped to day trade A-Lab without a particular catalyst today, but not a good look, and certainly a flat bottom break off that 140. And anytime you're under that 50 and the 200 period moving average, and you've just recently done so, some momentum, as it's an out of favor name as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think shorting the idea of shorting Palantir makes sense. I mean, it's been beat up for a very, very long time, obviously there, and continues to make lower. I mean, today you get the upgrade, so today obviously I think that could change. I don't think I would look to short it until it breaks this 125, just for myself. Like, I just don't know if this is a temporary bottom. It depends on how long you're looking out for, but for me, I think it's a risk to short now, considering it's now had 3 days, upside. So if you're looking to get short, I would wait to short it at some sort of a resistance level, right? Which may be this 150 or so. And we could get to 150 tomorrow. If this is a good stock today, it could wind up in the 140s, mid 140s today, and then tomorrow you'd be at a spot. So I think if you're going to give it a day, unless you really think the market is just fugazi right now and is going to turn around, Palantir will follow it back down. It's just today, after yesterday, it was a nice rebound day yesterday. Seems like today Palantir is obviously catching some wind. So I would, for me on that one, I think there's weaker names. Like, you could look over. Palo Alto will be a tough one because of the volatility. But, a Meta or a Microsoft or something like that really hasn't bounced yet, that might be a good spot instead of a PLTR. And you've already got a good one there with Astera and everything. So. But yeah, I see Raheem's getting ready to come through. It's going to be interesting to talk about some of these metals, and especially with silver today was up 3 or 4%, so that was nice. We'll see what that means to the Canadian landscape. We do have the tariff talks going to be happening soon as well. So the Supreme Court going to come in and make their decisions on tariffs, hopefully in the next couple of days. Yeah, hopefully. Who knows if that's actually going to happen or not? But anyways. We're getting ready. You can see in the background there with Brendo and Raheem. Looks like it's going to be a good one there. It's 8:40 already.
Got the tie.
It was Western omelets for lunch there today.
And we got some breakfast.
Or for breakfast.
Maybe sausages as well,
for
right?
lunch.
So
yeah.
You got to keep it. You got to keep that protein in there. Yeah. But also, speaking about the miners, you have PA. A few miners are actually reporting this week. We get Pan American.
Ooh, Randy.
Bell today. And today we actually get bananas, which we didn't have yesterday. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate you. So
thank you, Randy.
You also have to get your potassium apparently as well.
He's made his.
My daughter recently said, "I'm no longer eating bananas because I hear they attract it's like bees and hornets or whatever."
Bees? Okay.
I don't know. It's something, but and I said to him first of all, it's winter, so get that out of here.
Right.
I'm like, that's a complete rejection. That's nonsense because it's winter. And B, that only matters if we go hiking or camping. So if you want to tell me you're not eating bananas, which we don't even take when we go camping.
I think it could be like a sweet thing, like an orange or an apple or something. Like I almost.
You know what? My wife said she said it was true, so I just kind of was like, fine. I didn't look it up. I didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure it's true.
If it's true, if it's not true, somebody here in the chat will probably tell me right now that it's utter nonsense. But last time I checked, if I don't wear a mosquito repellent, they kill me anyways. So it doesn't, like, I'm one of, like, I don't know what it is, but some people just attract them. And if there's mosquitoes around, I'm getting smoked. If there's bees, they're always all over me, and is what it is. So I'm one of those. But I do see our good friend. I don't know if we're ready to go.
We are, I
but
think.
he's right behind us. He can't hide the fact that Raheem is locked and loaded and ready to go. So let's get to the desk with Raheem, Alani, and Brendan.
He has arrived safely, and it wasn't too bad of a drive this morning.
All good.
The shortest drive in the world tends to be the longest in this city.
I will get back to walking. I'll start doing the walk again at some point.
I can't wait until there's less snow, but anyway. Let's touch on, from a high level here, just to start things off, what these metals have done over the past couple of weeks, because we are starting to see maybe some cracks once again.
Yeah.
Silver looks like it's rolling over a little bit. Gold looks like it's maybe rolling over a little bit. Copper is probably holding up the better of the three. Right now, this was such a wild move higher. Some consolidation potentially needed here.
Yeah, and that's completely the thing. It's you can't just keep having, like we talked about literally 2 weeks ago, when I was here, you can't just keep having highs that see highs, that see highs, that see highs. These retrenchments are necessary in any market to have kind of just a normal flow. And what they're predicated on is, you know, some guy sends a tweet, some guy has a this, some guy has a that. So they're predicated on different things, of course, but there are fundamentals behind some of these things. So if you look at gold, you look at silver, you look at copper, each of them, like we've talked about, you know, we're not going to go into it. We've talked about it 1,000 times. Each of them has a different base case. Right? And so if you believe in storage of value, you go with gold. You believe silver has a use or a value, you go silver. And then copper is going to be what we're going to need to build everything in the future on, whether you believe in electrification, whether you're on the AI trade. All of these minerals will play a role. And that's why you see countries that are now coming together and saying, we're going to put money into these things. And we were chatting about it off camera. How many people are now talking to me as if they are critical minerals specialists and telling me things? I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard a little bit about it. And then I just mentioned, like, I do come on here to talk about it in great detail. And then, oh, you might know a little bit more than me.
Resources.
A little bit. So it's always interesting.
And then on top of that, we add the fact that the U.S. government is throwing all kinds of money towards this as well with this Project Vault. I mean, there's a DOE, DOD. The list goes on as far as deals go to fund this investment. If you had to point towards, you know, one or two areas to benefit here, what would those be?
Yeah, no, it is wonderful to see that governments are now putting in real monies. And like we've talked about, whether it was with oil in Venezuela, and just the amounts that we're now talking about are so minuscule in the grand scheme of things. They are big numbers. If you talk to a Canadian company and say, Exim's going to give you 220 million, or DOE or Department of War is going to be 30, 40, 50 million. These are big numbers to us here sitting in Canada, but to Americans who want to secure assets and properties and things of that nature, these numbers are so small. They're just kind of little rounding errors, which is great to see that kind of money is being pumped into the mining space. So like I've talked about here 1,000 times, closeology, if you see an asset in, say, Arizona that's getting DOE or Department of War or Exim Bank funding and it's a particular commodity, then just look in that neighborhood. Because all of those neighbors will all be doing the same thing. They'll all be hitting up their same congressmen, the same lobbyists doing the same thing. Second is particular commodity. So if you're seeing that, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 of these agencies are putting money particularly into wolframite or into tungsten, then look at other tungsten assets that are in jurisdictions that are friendly to the country's putting money out.
The trade conversation trade deal conversation has taken a bit of a backseat over the past couple of weeks, it feels like anyways. Big one announced yesterday with the U.S. and Japan. More investment coming from Japan into the U.S. for this purpose as well.
Yeah, so Japan just yesterday announced $36 billion going into oil and gas and into critical minerals. So we're going to see more money coming into coming from countries. But the other thing that will be interesting to see is this money specifically for assets in the U.S. or will it be to U.S. friendly, you know, that 55 country consortium, will it be also to those? So that's the answer we don't know yet. And I think that'll be the really interesting tell, because for the first time a couple of weeks ago, the U.S. put money into non-U.S. assets. So they invested into a big tin asset in England. They put a couple $100 million there. And like I mentioned before, France was going around putting money into non-French countries for critical mineral supply. So I think it'll be interesting to see which countries now they go to. And I don't know where Canada fits into that spectrum.
Maybe we hear about this when they get into this renegotiation of the North American.
Might be a small little detail to talk about because, you know, just mining, Canada is so mining centric, and it is the place. And for Canada to be left off that 55 country list a couple of weeks ago is kind of, I wouldn't say it shouldn't laugh. It is a little laughable because you find an asset in a country that you like, more than likely it's listed here. So you're going to have to deal with a Canadian company at some point. So we're not really going to have, like, I don't know why we're even pretending that we have a choice in the matter. Just get in line and just dance. But anyway, what do I know?
I mean, but when it comes to this negotiation that's just around the corner here, an asset of that value that we have has to be something that, you know, is in offer or is used as a tool.
It's a tool,
in some sort of deal.
100% it will be. And we're not in those rooms to have those conversations, but you know, and Ontario, again, I'm very happy to see what the Ontario government's doing, putting a lot of money out. But you're going to need to work with some of these U.S. groups on some of these assets. Like the infrastructure is going to be important. Infrastructure is going to be generally Canadian-led, provincial-led. That's fine and fair. But these assets that need real money, sure, we'll get some from Canada. But if you can plug into some of this U.S. money, I think that's going to be the place to go.
All right. Last time you were here, we were touching a little bit on the royalty side of things, both on the gold and other metals. I mean, there's different places you can look at. WPM, one that you brought here this morning, dual listed both sides of the border here. This is the TSX version of this here in Toronto. It's interesting. I had the chart of silver up and then flipped to this.
It's very
nothing changed.
It is a line by line.
Yeah.
And the only reason I brought that one up, and we're going to talk about a few different ones here today. Today's kind of a hodgepodge leading into the big mining conference that's coming. Just because this one was interesting, $4.3 billion they're putting out. They're putting out 1.9 roughly in cash, 2.4 in a variety of loans. And they're putting this money in, and the way royalties work, just very quickly, is it allows you to take the benefit of the production. So company X is going to produce silver. You're going to get essentially the royalty on that sale of silver. You don't have to take the development risk, the exposure, any of that, but you also don't get the upside on. We just happen to find an amazing asset over there that's going to grow our resource base, right? So if you want to offset your risk, that's an interesting way to play it. The fact that they just announced a $4.3 billion purchase. And some of these silver guys, I mean, you look at where their financials were a year ago and where they are now. It's going to be exponentially different simply because the price of silver has gone in that trajectory.
For someone looking at something like this as an idea, you know, like I said, the price action mirrors exactly what the underlying is doing. How much then do the fundamentals of the actual company come into play?
So with the royalty companies, so like as an example with WPM, their deal is with on an asset. The big deal they just announced on it is on an asset called Antamina in Peru. Glencore has the other third. They've now essentially taken up 2/3. So it's not necessarily the fundamentals of the company, but it's, do you want to diversify your exposure to different companies who might have different assets? And so their variability against, call it just the actual fundamental silver, therein is the opportunity when you want to purchase a royalty play, because again, you take less risk, but you also have not as much upside.
Right. Okay. Let's go to tungsten here. Not one that we touch on, you know, often, but Alani Industries, dual listed as well. ALL. And then ALM on the Nasdaq. This is a great looking chart as well. This is the Nasdaq listing back to $14 here.
Yeah, so that was what I just thought it would be interesting because, again, we're talking about a few different minerals, and because the government is talking about so many different things, our audience here, you're going to start to hear of things that are not in your norm. You're not going to hear just gold, silver, copper. You're going to start to hear about zinc and tin, wolframite, tungsten. Tungsten's going to be needed for everything. This company's gone heavy into tungsten. If you look at their 52-week chart on the Canadian side, from $2 to $20, like it's phenomenal. They've got a producing project in South Korea, and they've just gone all in tungsten, and just looking at the price action on tungsten, it's continued to go up. It just hit the high of 1769. So it's a metal that's going to be needed for all of these things. It's right down the laneway on critical minerals, and the fact that they're producing, plus they have developmental upside on other projects.
A lot of headlines coming out of Cuba, not necessarily around the mining industry specifically, the energy side of things, and relations, I guess, between the U.S. government and Cuba. But talk about what is available there. I mean, mostly nickel in Cuba, and how to look at that.
Yeah, so like we chatted about with Venezuela a couple of months back, I guess, is what's going to happen outside of oil with decisions that the government takes. And I just threw in Cuba here because they are big suppliers of, asset owners of nickel and cobalt going back. You see some of these companies have been in production in Cuba for a very long time. And it's going to be interesting to see what government decisions happen, and therein what happens with some of these mining assets that are there. Like there's a few companies that have been doing business there for a long time. Canadian companies have had the benefit of kind of almost a monopoly because the U.S. companies can't come there. So it's generally been Canadian heavy there.
So Sherritt International is the TSX listing?
It is.
Yeah.
So you look at that stock, the stock's moved from 11 cents to 29 cents, sitting around 20. It used to be a lot bigger, obviously. But if you look at nickel, you look at cobalt, Cuba is a place that produces that. Does the government, just where do you land up on this side of the coin? Are you going to be seeing the U.S. take aggressive action? Are they? Well, then that's a place that could benefit from that. Right. As someone that enjoys cigars, it may not work out the same way, right? It just depends on which side of the coin you land on.
Yeah. What's more important? Another one, smaller end of the market cap scale here, Talon Metals, also a TSX listing, TLO.
Yeah, and that one, they just did a 10-for-1 rollback, so it might be a different or interesting way to trade that stock. So the stock, it didn't go from 75 cents to 7.50, but if you look at that, in the last couple of weeks, it's gone up, call it 10, 12%. And the big thing with them is they got both Department of Energy and Department of War money. So you got two agencies that have vetted this company, that have said, hey, we're going to give you money. DOE gives you over 100 million. DOW gives you over 20 million. Those are big numbers to get from two different agencies. I thought was just very interesting.
You're going to be a busy guy here in the next couple of weeks coming up with this. Is it the biggest mining conference, or one of the biggest mining conferences?
It was the biggest. Saudi Arabia might have taken it over, but I haven't checked attendance records. I don't really care. But PDAC, it is the Super Bowl of mining. Yeah.
Yeah. PDAC going to be in Toronto the first week of March.
Yes.
Give us just a quick overview here.
Yeah, no, it's one of, if not the largest mining conference in the world. Companies from all over will be here. So just leading into this in the next 2 weeks, for those people that are interested in mining, there's going to be a lot of news coming out. There's going to be a lot of deal making that'll happen at the conference, and you're going to see a lot of companies just announcing by happenstance these amazing results, news, things of that nature, leading into that kind of pre-2 week period. So in the next 2 weeks, keep an eye on what's happening. And then during those few days, it'll be a very interesting time here in Toronto. If you find yourself here in Toronto, go out to any bar or restaurant. You might run into a mining executive and glean some information.
I was randomly last year around this time at the Raptors game, and there was two guys in front of me that ended up talking about mining the entire game and not paying attention to a minute of the actual Raptors game. So
yeah. That's generally the way
they're everywhere.
It will happen. It will happen a lot, and you'll see them around. And they're not hard to miss.
Best of luck, Raheem Alani. Great to see you as always. Good information. We'll dig into this a little bit more next time you're on. And
if people have particular questions, like maybe we can get into that. But yeah, if you want to chat about PDAC either before or after, happy to do that, because there is going to be so much information that's going to come out. I think this will be one of the most interesting PDACs that we've had in 10, 12 years. My guess.
Looking forward to it. First week of March, we'll check in with Raheem then.
Can I do a couple of quick? Because
by all means.
Do happy birthday week to my dad and to my nephew who are watching. And my wife informed me yesterday, obviously it was Lunar New Year, so happy Lunar New Year to everybody. Happy Ramadan to everyone that's celebrating. Happy solar eclipse. It was like one of these days of all of these amazing things that happened. So I hope everyone has a great day, week, month, year ahead, and thanks for having me.
Happy Wednesday as well.
And happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
Forgot that one.
I don't know.
I forgot that one.
It's always great to get those shout outs in. Thank you, Raheem. It'll be interesting to hear about PDAC and how that's all going, and what the effect of AI will be on a lot of these mining companies. And yeah, happy Lunar New Year. Very, very a party time right now for the Chinese culture. I was looking at Chinatown yesterday. It was nuts downtown there as I drove by it. So very, very busy times right now. And interesting space for the mining industry as well as we go back and forth through some of these metal prices at record highs, right? And so, always double check your portfolio, make sure that you're taking profit, if you're part of that profit boon, and if you're just getting involved now, listen to what Raheem's talking about there to see if we can catch some trends and whatnot. The Nasdaq has pulled back quite nicely here as Raheem came through. So we dropped about 100 points there from 24.90 all the way down to 24.80 here, and the market starting to lose itself.
In the music?
Eminem reference right there. I didn't mean Detroit Rock City. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, from metals to Eminem, it doesn't really make any sense. But anyways,
Make all the sense we want it to.
yeah, exactly. We just have to try to justify it somehow. I was just trying to see what was leading the way down. Okay, not much going on with Apple right there.
A little bit.
Yeah, Amazon, I feel like. Okay, maybe a little bit of a pullback here in Nvidia. Just hopefully setting us up for a decent long opportunity here off the jump. But yeah, so I have, for me, sticky note is now out. I do have, SLV. If I can pull it down. I do have SLV on here, 67 area. I mean, again, I write these things at 68.50, then it bumps to 69.50. So we're still trying to look down here, 67, 67.50. Now you see the 200 period starting to inch up a little bit here. So we may have to adjust our little target here, maybe 67.50 to 68. So bump it up about 50 cents. So again, just a nice little move here in the last hour or so, up about $1 there on SLV. And even when Neil and I started the show, silver was only up 3.2% or whatever. That's what I wrote down on the 3.5. Now it's up 4.5. So starting to get going here. It should be an interesting day for both the metal names here, gold and silver, both retracing back upside. And it seems like as the market goes, I mean, now the market's coming down, but we did have some good feels early. I only have longs written down, so I was really thinking that it was a good story there to start today. Someone just said in the chat, "What's up, hamster? Did AMD have bad news?" No. I think AMD could be catching the drift of Nvidia with Meta.
It was that Nvidia headline over.
Hold on a second. That happened overnight. That happened at 4 o'clock, though.
At 4
yeah.
o'clock.
Okay. So
Nvidia
there it
went
is.
Up and
yeah.
AMD went down.
I just wanted to make sure that it did coincide with that move. So actually, hamster, I think on the short note today, yes, I actually missed this. So thank you for that, because I was looking to think, what could I put in short underneath 200, right where the 200 period moving average is. I like it a lot right there for advanced micro devices and the 200 period at $200. I actually should add this to the list right there. I'm actually going to start tracking AMD on my other side here, because I am thinking, look, if the Nasdaq can't hold the bid, I'll just switch all my opinions over to short, which would be easy to do. Most of my levels that I wrote down, like Palantir, I wrote down 133 area, and then that's at 136, 137 now. So this one really hasn't. I stayed pretty conservative on this. Like this, I wanted to see yesterday's closing here. I put 133 to 133.50. So this area here for Palantir dip zone, I'm not waiting for 136.50 where VWAP is. So anyways, okay, we'll get it going very, very soon. It should be a good one here with some shorts and longs looking like they're trying to enter the building here.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked in the chat, they're like, oh, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? And someone just said, what's going on with Intel? I mean, it moved down just like the market did recently. So maybe it was up 1%, and now it's down, or just flat, let's call it. But no, you're just following the market. Yesterday, this basically it went 46.5 down to 45.5, like 3 times. Well, 2 times, and the third time it only got to VWAP. But I still think this stock is poised in a pop and fade play. As long as we're underneath that 50, it's been failing lower highs. And I'm sticking with IBIT. I mean, I had Nvidia written for continuation long, and ONDS and Palantir look good. But Bitcoin has not shown any strength at any point recently. Everything broke out yesterday. A lot of things broke out yesterday. You couldn't break through, so I'm still thinking fade into this afternoon high. That said, if we don't ever get there, I got to look for that fail the pre-market high break setup as well. Like if it just sort of pops in. This is what happened yesterday in IBIT. Like it tried right at 9:30. It tried to press through the high. You got like a topping tail candle, and then we had this entry on the following candle to the top. If I see that set up on Bitcoin again, it's like, okay, we'll just rinse and repeat it, because it seems like we got a lot of weakness over there. By the way, one name which is strong, I don't know if we'll get to this one. We haven't mentioned it yet. SolarEdge is up 13% after their earnings. So there are things that are breaking out. There's one. Big breakout here on the daily for SolarEdge. Not a ton of volume. just over 500,000 shares in the pre-market. Relative volume good, but it's not like a huge volume name, and a bit of a spread as well. But SolarEdge certainly in play. Let's see what else is in play. We'll talk about the futures, get through our rundown as well, our free rundown. Watch list.
Oh, got to do the future, Brendo. Yeah, I wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. All right, guys, here's what we closed out yesterday on the SPY. We were right at that 682.5. We're above it right now. We're showing 684, so we're up 0.17. So the deal is we're going to use yesterday's closing print, 682, sorry, and 4/5 as our first level of support, Brendo. If we start trending up, we have been trading below that 687 to 688 area for a while. We're going to use that as resistance level 1.
All right, let's get into, as we mentioned, the watch list. If you haven't done so yet, link is below. Go right now. Top link in the description will get you there. All you need is an email address, and then we just do everything for you. It just comes in an email. Has everything you need to know, every single pre-market. It's super easy. Let's talk about Nvidia and Meta to kick things off here. Deal announced after the close yesterday. If you zoom out, that's Meta, obviously. Huge gap, and then we've done nothing but come right back into the range here. So this is 640, 650 coming into play once again. If you zoom in, both of these look identical. Nice pop after the close on this announcement yesterday. We've given all of that back here, so does it matter?
I think a lot of it has to do with Zuck taking the stand today. It's a big deal, Brendo. There's thousands of different pending lawsuits around this issue, so how this one goes could set the tone. So maybe, parsing some gains as a result of that, but this is a good deal, especially for Nvidia. Let's talk about it. Meta will deploy millions of Nvidia chips across all its AI data centers, including the standalone Grace CPUs and the next-gen Vera Rubin systems. CEO Zuck framed the partnership as part of Meta's mission to kind of deliver personal super intelligence to everyone. The financial terms...
Getting choked up about this,
Yeah, I
man.
know.
On,
it's so emotional about this whole thing. Financial terms weren't disclosed. They typically aren't, but we know it's going to be worth tens of billions of dollars. Meta announced plans, we know, to invest $135 billion in CapEx this year. And then, of course, while he was with President Trump, he announced the $600 billion. And everyone always laughed because he's like, I didn't know I was supposed to announce it now, right? So anyway, $600 billion by the end of 2028. So we know a lot of that's going to go into the real estate and into these AI chips. Another deal for Nvidia.
Yeah, I mean, as I was mentioning, the charts here looking pretty much identical. Nice pop for Nvidia. I mean, Nvidia had a pretty good day yesterday, let's be honest. Nice pop after the close. We're gapping up with the overall market here. So end of the day, to summarize, Nvidia wins again.
But I want to mention one quick thing though, Brendo. So Meta and other hyperscalers are sniffing around Nvidia alternatives, and we've seen this with Google's TPUs. We've seen them custom design some of these ASICs chips with Broadcoms, with the Marvells, one that Sean's been talking about. And Meta is doing exactly that. That doesn't mean that it's the end of the road for Nvidia. They're going to continue to be a major supplier, but just to note that they are sniffing around custom design chips.
Another notch in the belt here, guys, for Nvidia once again.
Well, I like that one. I don't think we've used that term, the
Notch it up
for Nvidia.
Notch it up.
Yeah, they got a bunch of notches in its belt. The problem is, right now, it's got way too many notches on the chart at $193.
Now take it easy, Raheem. We have a show over here.
Raheem is. The thing is, Raheem looks all professional.
Raheem
He's
liked
got the suit and everything.
Raheem liked the notches comment.
But
there.
let's just you can't play around. He keeps it real. We'll just leave it at that. He keeps it real. I think it's a long in Nvidia today. The thing about this 193 being resistance on the daily, you can see it. They're not just crazy wicks or dark pool wicks. Every time we breach $190, you seem to fall back when we get to 93. But you still have to get there to that resistance point. So I look at the prior high, which is sitting here 187, and we closed at a 185. That gives a couple of classic dip buy zones if we're not going to get a classic run and breakout. The market is rolling back right now, which usually lends to dip if you like the long. But if we lose 185, I mean, that's kind of like an all bets are off area. Start thinking the other direction. The chip name that I'm thinking, I guess we already talked about this. Yeah,
we didn't talk about Intel.
I think I did.
Oh, did you?
Or did I?
We talked about AMD.
Maybe I didn't. Okay, so anyways, the chip name that I'll be looking for the short end, if I didn't. If I did, then sorry, guys. It would be Intel. The 47.5, that seemed like yesterday, that was the level I liked for the short. I ended up shorting it at 46.5. because, quite frankly, that's where the top was in the morning. It's still close enough that if we get a really strong move, I'd wait for that test at 47.5. But yesterday's highs going to be in play. I just don't necessarily love what's been going on with this name. I think it's getting close to indicating a bounce point, but I'm not at that point yet that I think it's at a bounce point. I thought it was 42 before, and at least a 50 period before I'm starting to think longs in that again. But Nvidia keeps on winning. But can the winning actually result in a breakthrough 193? That's the question we want to know. And I'd love for it to happen before earnings. It just feels like it's not going to until next week.
I think there's a decent chance here. I have the same kind of area, 185 to 186. It's going to be the number one trade here on my note today. Nvidia 185 to 186. Wait for the dip if available. It looks like it might be available if the market continues to go down. This new AI partnership with Meta, I wrote down here, is good enough to get this name going, heading into earnings. See this note? Longs only right there. You can go check it out. I'll put this in the chat. There's a few other names, obviously, that we probably talk about that are on this list and some that are not. So go check it out. I'll put it in the chat. But anyways, Nvidia just down into here. This is where we close. So I don't know if it's going to be something that holds or not. But if you look at the 5-minute chart here, the 200 period moving average, which is 1,000 data points, is right here at 184. So I was thinking like right into yesterday's close, this 184 to 185 area, basically right into here. If we get anything around this area, there's the top, there it is right there. We made some sense. That's where we closed. There's the move higher into that. So if we fall back, we may start to take first area around 187 potentially, but waiting just for the bigger trade down here between 185 to 186. Now, if this market wants to rebound, there's no way we'll get that. But if the market does have its little oopsie daisy moment like we've seen before many times, I mean, here's Nvidia yesterday ripping in the first 10 minutes. Well, ripping, I don't know, from 181 to 183.50, and then we went down $5 to 179. So that's the area, that you would be looking to buy, not all the way down. And if you're trying to buy, maybe use the pre-market lows. So I was going to say, even if you come into here, we just made the pre-market lows at 188. So if we get a similar $3 drop like we got yesterday, I just showed you $4, then we do get into that 185, believe it or not, which is all the way down here. So I still want to be conservative with this play, but it wouldn't surprise me if we do wind up, somewhere in here in between, between 187 to 185. It's a little bit too large of a range to be confident to load up there, but I'm pretty confident to load up down here if we can get into 185. So then the bottom of this range for me would be a trade. And then as Hamster had mentioned before as well in the chat, what's up with that with AMD? So AMD's basically everything I just said, take the opposite of that now with AMD, and that is that they're not getting the deal with Nvidia. They're not, putting together this partnership that, should create a longer lasting relationship with another mega cap spender with Meta. So AMD downside. And just like what Intel was looking at there, AMD obviously a little bit more violent, down 2.4%. So just watch out right now, looking like it also, it's not necessarily a flat bottom break, but it's pretty close. If you can get into this 180, that's a 200 period. It's actually done pretty good to hold the 200 period moving average so far. So I think that might come into a test at some point here. But hey, this is probably overdone to the downside. So if the market does rip up, we'll look to see if we can get a short, basically around this 200, 201 area for AMD. So a couple ideas there. Short AMD, long Nvidia, pick your levels wherever you like. They're not going to be exact, especially on a day like today, but Nasdaq right now hovering up 1/4 point. So, but yeah, I would buy AMD on dips into that 180. I think that's reasonable.
Speaking of dips,
yeah,
further dip in the next name on the list. PanW has broken through the lows.
Yep.
We are now under $150 on Palo Alto. As look, at the end of the day, the earnings beat. It was the guide that was a problem, Brendo, and it continues to fall.
33% drawdown now here for PanW, including this pre-market move today. So yeah, I mean, this is another one that's come under the SaaS microscope here and is getting punished for it. But as you and I were just saying, I mean, people are still going to need cybersecurity. So I mean, these types of solutions, I think, are really hard to replace.
We'll have to wait and see if they're replaceable or not. This is one that I have a position in, so full disclosure, some bias possibly here. Let's talk about this, guys. Q2 EPS $1.03. That includes certain items, beating the 94 pennies expected on revenue of $2.59 billion. That narrowly beats the 2.58. Revenue did grow, though, a healthy 15% year over year, with net income jumping from $267 million last year to $432 this year. That's where the kind of the good news ends. Let's talk about that fiscal Q3 EPS guide. That's the one that missed, and that's probably why we're selling off quite aggressively. The company guided 78 to 80 pennies. That is sharply below the 92 that was expected by analysts. Revenue beat, though, in terms of guide, $2.94 billion, up to 2.95. That easily beats the expectation of 2.6 billion. So it was really the forward-looking EPS guide, and there's one reason and one reason only for that, Brendo: the insane amounts of acquisitions this company's made. So for just by way of example, 20 acquisitions by CEO Nikesh Arora since 2018, the largest of which they just closed, $25 billion for CyberArk, which closed a few months ago. And then there's also that $3 billion purchase of Chronosphere in January. They made another one today with an Israeli firm, cybersecurity agent firm called Koi, and it's supposed to basically be exactly what you were just talking about, you know, bringing that kind of agentic, secure side to cybersecurity. So look, to me, this is a one kind of dialogue story, maybe two. One with obviously the SaaS Mageddon, as you put it, and how that could affect, you know, SaaS companies going forward. But it's more about the acquisitions and the unproven money that you're doing to acquire these companies in service of the larger moat here, which is the platformization. And that's been his focus, I think, for the past 3 years. He's got to make it work, though. So far, the price hasn't shown that.
And it's not going to, yeah, I mean, it has to pay off. 148, if you zoom out, guys, long-term support, we're heading there right now. In fact, 148.80 currently. But if you zoom out a little bit on PanW, it looks interesting anyways.
Yeah, well, we're at 148 now, and the only thing underneath that is pull out your weekly charts, everybody. The daily charts only get you so far when we have these kind of drawbacks. The 200 period is 145 on the weekly. The almost a pandemic. No, the tariff bottom was at 145 as well. It's going to be SSR. If it gets to that little level, it'll be over 10% down at that point. That's the spot. Like, I'll look for like one of those mean revert trades on PanW. I think maybe waiting this one out to add. Like, one of the things that I was considering was, and we said this yesterday, is if you get too big of a flush on a sympathy name, like here's an idea, like crowd went up when Pan originally bounced higher in the aftermarket, but then very barely is down today. So it's not really, it's only down a couple of points. I thought maybe it would move a little bit more in sympathy. I was kind of thinking if it was retesting some of its support, that'd be a spot. So it'll just have to be waiting for PanW to test that 145 level. I think that's the big spot for it. It's already through major support here on Palo Alto. So you just kind of let it fall. If we do get into that April low, 145 is the spot that I would look first for a mean revert, and then probably every even dollar, $5. If it somehow sees 140, like that would be too much. And again, like it's one of these the symptoms that we've been seeing in this earnings season.
Yeah,
they're just punishing you for anything at this point.
I think you could. I think you could see 140 today, to be honest with you. So just get ready. I think that this name, once it cracks through that 10%, continues to go lower. I'm not sure there's going to be a bounce, unfortunately. I'd say we just use the 3-day rule here, and that is let it figure out its base. And we had sort of talked about, you know, where potentially it could get into, and I think this 140 is a great area where you start to nibble, you start to average into your trade. Because again, I really like the space. You know, it's been a perennial earnings beater, and they've made some acquisitions lately that will accrue eventually, I guess, onto their income statement. And for right now, yeah, 150 you would have thought would hold. It did not. You're getting lower now. That very bottom there, I think it was what we looked at this earlier today, was 143. So 144, basically, that would be an area I think that you know, it might have a magnet into this pocket right here. So that little pocket right at the 200 period. Obviously, we've broken through, so the 200 period is now irrelevant, but there could be some support there. And as Brendan said, down 33% now. It's a nasty pullback, and it sucks because, you you know, Palo Alto was just right there. So, you know, a name that I have in my portfolio, you got to wait for it. And let's just see. It's going to be exciting right off the open, 1 million shares with a little bit of a tight spread. It's like 30, 40 cents. I think this is a tradable name today for sure. And I was just going to say, I've already done this talk today, but if you like all the space and you're not sure which name to pick, the cyber ETF is all of them. So, you know, if you're talking about a drawdown here, you're going to get nothing as bad because it's not single stock risk, but still 18% from its highs, you know, to the downside there for CIBR. And, you know, you're nowhere near right now these tariff lows. So if you thought that maybe there was something specifically up with Palo Alto, then get into the space, because I think it's a great space to be in. Cybersecurity, especially with what's happening in this world and more data coming through and everything like that. So 700 employees, that's, I mean, I don't know how much that is there it is right there, CYBR, so there it is. PanW, not even their own. Oh, that's the company they bought. Rage selling by email from PanWK, not even their own management team. I don't know if that's...
What language is that, David? Probably put it into translate, but thank you for the super chat. It's never a good look when you have these mergers. You're going to usually get consolidation of the workforce and people lose jobs, but you got to handle it the right way. That's not the best look by them, unfortunately. I don't think that's necessarily the reason why they're down that much, but it certainly can't help whatsoever. A name that is not down, at least not as of right now, would be Palantir after getting a Mizuho upgrade.
Like that.
Yeah, back to an interesting level here right now. We're pulling off that 137, which was that high. If you go back 2 days ago to the pre-market, came into play the day before as well. But another one that's been beaten down here, finally getting a little bit of a bid.
Yeah, and today Mizuho giving them the nod, Brendo, and upgrading them, by the way, from neutral to outperform with a healthy price target of $195. It's Greg Moskovitz. He's the analyst at Mizuho, giving them the nod. He warned, though, about multiple reversion, but he sees this as kind of this derating, so to speak, as largely complete. He says the risk to reward setup is viewed as more attractive at the current levels. He describes Palantir as in a category of one within software due to its combination of strong revenue growth and margin expansion. He also says the company's AI-driven analytics platform continues to kind of differentiate from other SaaS software and other enterprise software as it kind of, learns as it goes and how your system works. He's also particularly bullish on their U.S. commercial business, which is benefiting from what he called urgent internal data integration initiatives. So nothing we haven't heard in terms of the bull case for Palantir. Everything he said here, I think we already knew. Just kind of refreshing our memory, up 3%.
Yeah, 2 days in a row here, we've had some pretty positive price action, guys, right out of the gate, straight to the upside, straight to the upside. We got the gap down yesterday morning. That was immediately a race. So definitely a bid under this, it feels like.
Yeah, and in that mid to, it's more like the high 20s, not necessarily the mid. It was 26 last week, and then yesterday able to hold on to the 27, 28 level. I think you got to at least respect that the market's pulling right back in here for Palantir. So, I mean, breaking through 138 to even get to a test of those, whether it's 140 or the 146 level, I think that's what we're working with here. Because if I see us up here, then to me, that's still like a short area till proven otherwise. You think about the disaster day, and that really held resistance under 146. So today, pull back in a prior high, sets you at 134. We close at 133, so I like that for an area. If you go red, I think all bets are off if we get that kind of a turnaround. And the 138 is in play for a breakout. I just don't love breakouts that don't work right away in this environment. Like, it's not, if you break out 138, and that's not immediately within like a minute or two testing 139, like, you've got to be wondering what the heck is going on and ready to exit very quickly. So that's the plan for Palantir. I mean, the dip is usually the first thing to look for when the market is heading weak. And if I see it up above 144, that's a short zone when zooming out that chart. But it's got to get there first. That's why I like the long.
Yeah, I have it right here on the note today. Palantir 133 long area. I mean, I think it's a pretty easy one to look at here today. So support to see if buyers step in. Mizuho with the upgrade. A nice few days in a row now. So yeah, maybe it's starting to finally catch a bid, right? So there's Palantir all the way back in this 133 area. We always look at close areas. It can easily get back into here. We showed you guys yesterday sort of that open insanity. It was on another stock. I think it was on Nvidia as well. You know, right away, right off the open, down to 127. We were able to get Apple yesterday at 255 or something really low, and it closed the day at 263 off of a trade like this. So we'll see if that can happen there today. We drop about $2 right off the open, then we grip up about 3 from there, and then give it all back, down another 3, and then the trend continued higher for Palantir into the close, right? And it got that nice little VWAP dip. So for me today, I think the same type of thing. We'll wait to see if we do get, you know, a $2 dip down here right off the open. If we do, we'll sit there and we'll try to buy it. And then we'll see what winds up happening at 133. We don't need to hold it for too much longer through there. If it breaks down below, it's broken, and we'll adjust our expectations there with looking like a 132.50 or so knockout zone for me. So yeah, if we don't hold, we don't hold. But I'm already bidding. So I'm already bidding 133.50. So if this comes in right here, we'll be long Palantir 133.50. I like the stock, obviously. I'm still quite long it. We were selling near the top side for capital raise, but yeah, seems like a good decision. We'll put that money back to work. I was thinking like 100. I talked about that basically between 90 and 100 bucks, but we may not get to that. So 3 or 4 up days now, good for Palantir. The upgrade has come, and I think we can get back to that 150 before you think about shorting.
SNDK downside here this morning from, I mean, where we ended yesterday. We came back into this support yesterday at the end of the day and kind of held that 590. But downside this morning on this WDC note and offering.
Yeah, this is interesting here by Western Digital, Brendo. They're looking to offload a lot of these shares. They're offering approximately 5.8 million SanDisk shares, and they're offering it at $5.45 a pop. That's going to bring in about $3.17 billion if they do sell that. The transaction is structured alongside this debt for equity exchange that they got with JP Morgan and Bank of America. SanDisk, though, they're not going to receive any of the proceeds, so this makes it a purely shareholder liquidity event. After the exchange, Western Digital is expected to retain another 1.7 million SanDisk shares, and management there for Western Digital said they're going to look to offload those as well. They want to do it through exchanges for its own stock as well as distribution to shareholders. This is suggesting, though, that there's going to be an ongoing overhang here as more shares find their way onto the market. That could put a bit of a price cap on the price. In the short to intermediate term. As well, Brendo, Western Digital previously signaled that the share sale is part of a strategy to reduce its debt. The company's trying to really focus on HDD supply for data centers. And from a capital standpoint, this is going to strengthen their balance sheet rather than, you know, signaling weakness at SanDisk. It's really more about WDC than SanDisk.
And it's also definitely not a signal of anything changing as far as the memory industry and demand really for memory goes. I think that's as strong as it's ever been. So there's still some room here if it wants to get going a little bit further to the downside today, guys.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of room for SNDK if it wants to go to the downside. It's been an absolute rocket ship recently. But what's a little bit interesting, I would say, is what's been happening for the last almost an hour now, but like even the last 30 minutes in here. It just seems it got up to 578 while the market was heading down, and now we're just sort of sideways. It's not really barcoding, but sideways action at that 578. So A was going up when the market was going down. Then it runs into a bit of a wall here. So if you're looking at SNDK today, there's somebody already selling these pre-market, and they're not, this is just from 6 a.m. If you start at 4:30, you'll have a different pre-market high. But effectively, this pre-market resistance here at 578, call it 580, is unbroken. So that gives you an obvious place with where to look. The only issue for myself, it's when I zoom out a bit further, like this is in the middle of a chop range here for SNDK. I think if it loses underneath 540 or so, then you've got like a bigger flush in hand. So I'd want to see an opening. This is the kind of stock where you'd want to see an opening range be set. You've already got a bit of a refresher sitting there on the offer who's holding the stock, and sometimes the first thing that happens is if you break somebody that's been under pressure for 30 minutes, like it can really spike up. So you can get burned if you try to short, if that guy releases, or that order releases at the open. I think it's more interesting if this breaks down under 540 and then loses the bid instead of trading it within this chop range. It's a $600 stock. You have to keep in mind, it doesn't take much for it to go 20 or 30 bucks. Like if it goes 30 bucks in a day, that's literally an average day for this sucker every now and then. Or lately, anyways.
Yeah, I was looking at Micron right here because if we break this 395 area, I think it's down, right? And let's just watch to see what happens with SanDisk right now to figure out, you know, where exactly this name wants to go, because I feel like all these names are just like a house of cards, not in a way of like it's built on false narratives, but just like they're up so much, and that when one starts to fall, I feel like they all will. Micron did do a great hold down there at 365, you know, so that was great, and a nice little bounce back there, and then he sort of I don't know, this candle right here is somewhat bothering to me. Just, it kind of looks like a little bit of a doji star, right? Similar to what we had there, and then the push back down in. You know, that one you'd like to see red, and that one is red. So maybe make the move there, gap higher, close lower on the day, and then we can't fill that gap. So for me, I'd wait to go long on this thing until it breaks 425, like the top of this closing bar right there. Someone in the chat there, shout out to you, always be thankful, because you are 100% right. The dollar right now is on a run, like pretty severely here. So nice little move over the last 1 hour. Generally speaking, that would be bad for mega cap names and multinational names, because again, a stronger US dollar means when you're repatriating back the money, it hits your books less than if it was weaker dollar. But you know, at the end of the day, there it goes, man. Strong US dollar. You could probably see generally, you know, a stronger dollar, you may get a weaker commodity space, and that's not really happening right now with silver or with gold. So yeah, well, it'd be interesting. Thank you for pointing that out. It'd be interesting to watch to see if some, you know, like I was saying, multinational names were really moving on this. Possibly not, but that could be a story once it hits mainstream, right? We'll see if traders want to sort of pull back from the longs today because of dollar strength. All right, so the Nasdaq's now out. We're not seeing anything. We talked about Fastly yesterday. Oh, yeah, that's right. Where's Joe? Oh, is he back today or? Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I was just like, we missed his segment. I was like, we talked about Fastly yesterday. So there it goes right there. Meta today as well, downside with the sell. So shout out there. APLD, we looked at that a little bit. Fiverr was getting hit today too as well. So some of these imbalances are now out. All right, we're gonna go quickly. We'll talk about some Amazon, and then we'll get ready for 4 minutes left.
Yeah, we're mentioning 13F season has arrived once again, so we're learning about some portfolio changes that have happened with some of the big firms, including Berkshire. I mean, the list is actually quite long here. Amazon, the big headline we'll get to in a second here, basically out of Berkby is basically out of Amazon. Almost 80% of their position gone. Wow. They also sold AON. They trimmed more Apple. Trimmed. I think it was to the tune of about 60 million shares or something in that neighborhood. They still have 200 plus million. Atlanta Braves, which is BRTRK, they also sold. Bank of America, they sold. Constellation Brands, DaVita, Liberty Latin America, Lila, Lila is the ticker, and Pool Corporation. The big one we mentioned earlier that they added was NYT, which is a new position for them, which is interesting as well. But yeah, Amazon gone into someone else's hands, however.
That New York Times was really interesting to me. I mean, but then we looked at the chart and it was like, okay, probably that's why. All right, guys, so Bill Ackman picking up some shares. So Berkshire selling, Pershing Square, his hedge fund picking it up. And he picked up $865 million worth. That expands his stake by 65%. That is as of Q4 of last year. The total holding now exceeds $2.2 billion, making Amazon the fund's third largest position behind Brookfield and Uber. The buying came, though, during a period where Amazon had gained roughly 5% in Q4 of last year, which is suggesting here that there's conviction behind the purchase rather than bottom fishing because it hadn't yet made that big move down. But since then, it's fallen 12% in Q1 of 26, reflecting, that broader mega cap pressure, and a 9-day losing streak, Brendo, that they were on the other side of. That wiped up more than $450 billion in market cap. 9 days, you lose $500 billion. Some companies will never even get close to that, or 1%. Yeah. They lost it in a few days.
I was looking at 2 or 3 different 13Fs and portfolio updates this morning. They were the only ones on the sell side. So Berkby, the only ones on the sell side.
Interesting.
There were 2. I mean, you were just talking about Bill Ackman, Gershner at Altimeter, also adding a ton of Amazon, and there was one other one I can't think of right now, but at least 2 or 3 on the buy side versus the sell side for Amazon guys. So yeah, we were up significantly. Coming back in right now though for Amazon.
Yeah, it looks like they want to start a new streak at this rate for Amazon.
Oh, 1 minute left.
I mean, Berkshire also did add to Chevron this last quarter for anyone. And they did buy some things, and that stock's doing absolutely fine. But no, not looking terribly good for Amazon. Just want to quickly update. There's still nothing on the imbalance locator except for ZSL. Once 928 hits, you see some of the Nasdaq names move. I don't really have plans to trade Amazon, but I feel like this is one where if we don't close green today and it was a one-day event, breaking of that streak, that would be an incredibly bad sign. I think 200 would be a big level to watch for them. I didn't see an imbalance here on Nvidia, but it did catch maybe not that big of a spike. It really only went about 50 cents or so. So trying to make a bit of a bounce back here is Nvidia, looking for a dip buy there. Intel must have, maybe there was a sell on Intel that actually just dropped another ½ point. So that's now deeply in the red, or easily in the red, as we are about to ring the bell on Hump Day. It's a Wednesday today, so let's get the party started. Still no sound effect.
Yeah, trying to get going here. I might just short this market after all. I mean, you're coming in pretty nicely right now. TQ's possibly going red right here. We'll have to watch to see if that is the trade or not, but it looks like it's trying to break right now.
Intel.
Bye-bye Intel. Okay, I'm going to go short right now on the futures just to see where we go from here. Give it to like 48. 48.60 or so maybe here on the downside. Let's just see where we're going now with the futures. Nice little break lower for now. We'll give it a little bit of work here. We just got into 25 there. We could put a bid and get out a 10% there if it does hit down there at 25. It looks like there it is. We get that. So now we're starting to get a little lower. This is 45.15s or so. We'll put a bid down there as well, see if we can grab something. But so far, just one trade, short the market, and let's just see what it wants to do here with a nice little downside push early. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Just a quick little trade, breaking through VWAP there and starting to go down. But yeah, that's it for me right now.
Yes, Intel dropped $1 instantly off at the open there. Forget about fading at VWAP, at least for now. I haven't canceled the order. Sometimes you get really lucky and there's a snapback, but gonna have to adjust. Target looking maybe at prior day lows, and here at 45.5. There was no specific headline to explain why Intel is falling like a rock like this. So let's have a quick look to see what AMD is doing. I have Nvidia up, and Nvidia is going a little bit higher. AMD is going a little bit higher as well. So it looks like it's strictly an Intel sucks kind of moment here, for lack of a better term. Palantir is dipping, so look for it to pull right back in. The prior high sits at about $134. So this one is starting to dip back in to test some prior highs. Got to keep the ear to the ground. That doesn't seem like a very random event there by Intel, and it's still at the low of the day. Market's trying to bounce a bit, and it's still pressing lower. Intel getting shellacked.
Yeah, it's strange.
You win yesterday, not today.
Yeah, futures not doing a whole heck of a lot. I mean, this is the position that I'm in right now. We get back to the futures a little bit there. We did almost run us out. It did come right back up into the 50-period moving average right now. I'm going to try to take another bid here at 27 if we can get it. We already have one fill at 25. That's the only fill that we have right now. We can see what's going on with AMD as well. 198, so that's not really doing too much here. Go ahead, Adara.
Yeah, it's a funky one. We actually, if anything, have a positive story on Intel. I'm seeing as of yesterday after the bell, looks like that Nvidia 13F revealed that Nvidia took a new stake in Intel. As we already knew, again, that was announced in Q3, but that's it on INTC.
Okay, I mean, the market is coming back in for many of these names. I mean, look, there's Intel right now, 45.20, trying to get a little lower right there. Neil's short IBIT. I'm short the market here. Nvidia's also trying to pull back just a little bit here as well, as it's trying to break lower. The futures aren't doing anything really on this. So it looks like this is going to be chip related again in this space. So we'll have to wait to see how we all sort of pan out here as Nvidia trying to get lower on what I thought was a good story today.
Yeah, I mean, well, it ultimately was a good story, that Meta headline, but it doesn't really seem to be changing much of anything. We haven't looked at Apple. We'll get there in a quick little second, but the first position for myself is going to be VWAP, IBIT. It's not the same as yesterday, because yesterday it actually popped and failed the pre-market high. Now it's just a VWAP trade, so I'll give it to this lower high in there, scalp some out in front of the lows, and then see how far it does want to go. Just kind of crazy what is going on over there in Intel, and it has
Silver's ripping.
a little distracted by it. But Apple also losing the bid. The market's starting to come back a little bit here, and Palantir did not get low enough for me.
To 135.
Yeah, see, Palantir, there's the bounce. It doesn't even come that close to filling in the gap. We closed at 133. Yeah, now you're already at the volume weighted average price. I'm not going to chase that one. We'll stick with Bitcoin for now. Let the opening range get set up. If we don't get our levels, then we wait for the opening range to set up. As yeah, kind of a crazy morning to see a random move like that on INTC. Tesla, for everyone watching, Tesla's just rinsing back and forth through volume weighted average price. It's gone through the highs, it's gone through the lows a couple times. Definitely want to let some of these things settle down a bit. So IBIT's on structure, but pretty much everything else is just kind of flying around and trying to get you rinsed in either direction. Nvidia didn't dip very far, so there was no chance at a dip trade into 185 for me.
Yeah, no, same kind of thing. We did get stopped out of a bit there on our, oops, that's Nvidia, sorry, on our TQs. But we're going to try to get right back into it. We basically got taken out at the highs there. And we wanted the 50-period trade. So, you know, kind of like boohoo on that one. What are you going to do? That was the trade that we liked and just didn't really pan out for us. There. So we got back into the short. Now we have something on board. So let's just wait to see. I mean, we don't have as many shares. Well, actually, we have the same amount of shares, but we already took the hit there. So we're back to flat right now on this trade. Too bad. Like we just got taken out right there at your 50-period MA. So let's see now maybe if we can fly a little lower. We just took a little bit of profit out right there. So on that note, another name, you know, we're looking at Nvidia. It's bouncing off. We're still waiting for a lower bid over there. Let's have a quick look at Tesla. We didn't talk too much about Tesla today. And this is crazy off the open. 413 down to 411. Looking now like it wants to try to push just a little bit lower, but it's Tesla time right now down to the downside. So we'll see if it's going to hold that 410 area. Not a bad zone. You know, yesterday sort of at the close there, we were back into this 409, 410. So that could be an interesting area to look at over there as well. And I just noticed silver, or SLV anyways, broke through $70. So now it's up 5+% here for SLV as US dollar strength still present, but is trying to get downside a little bit here. And again, if this can fall back in, silver probably continues just a tad bit higher there for the DXY and for silver as the DXY pulling back just a bit. So yeah, that's the only trade that I have on right now is this TQQ trade. Looking for Palantir pullbacks, as Neil had sort of mentioned, it only got to 135. So for me, it needs to get a little lower here, especially if I'm going to be holding short on the futures. And then yesterday's big runner for me early was Apple. Yeah, it's.
It looks like it's Amazon.
This is kind of like what it did yesterday, but then it went really early, like it went earlier than this. So yeah, Amazon would be an interesting
Amazon's
one.
actually up 1.5% here, so it looks like maybe this is the Mag 7 name that's going to be strong, and hopefully I didn't just jinx it because it was trying to press the high like 2 seconds ago, and now we're a little bit lower. So obviously a bit of a jinx. Meta, you can't pin any strength on Meta. That's down 1% and at the low of the day. So there's a lot more weakness than strength. Obviously, I mean, anyone can look at a chart and you're going to see this. So Amazon looking okay. That Palantir, it tried to go, but now we're back under VWAP. So this is very much still looking like you can fill in this gap and look for the long run 134. Oh yeah, ONDS. Ondas was another name in play. Big, massive run yesterday. It doesn't pull back into my 980 level, but it's back above the $10. So this one at least looking like it could turn bullish here, but I was waiting for $9.80. Got a nice line on my chart there. Even this doesn't want to get down. So yeah, well, we're at low of the day right now on IBIT, but the targets should be obvious here because there's simply the two lows from yesterday, 37.9 and then 37.75. The next two targets here for Bitcoin, as the market looks like we're headed down, so we'll hold the shorts. None of the longs have set up yet, and no need to rush into them.
No need at all. I'm still short.
Getting moked.
Right now we're short. And I just, we broke below. This was basically the trigger spot for me, was right here, just kind of breaking below, the 50 period. And that's what we were using early. We saw this trend break lower, right? We came back in. We're out of half of the trade now. My stop is 69 at the top of this wick that we had just made. Right, we made that wick. So we'll see if it supports it one more time. And then if we have to stop out, we have to stop out. So we're out of half. And again, when you're short like I am at 50s and the stop is 70, 50 minus 20, 30 cents. So a lot of our outs right here, all for half the risk. So half out for half the risks, and hopefully we don't get stopped out. And if we do, that basically means it's a flat trade again. So here it comes right back up. It just did not have the legs to get lower right there. So maybe the market does have breadth to it today and wants to go up. Here goes Palantir trying to go upside. So there goes. So boom. We'll have to slap a fail on that, because there goes the TQs now breaking higher right here. So just a couple back and forth trades there. We'll lose on the first one, flat on the second one, so it's kind of net there. But it just bounced off VWAP again. So now I'm thinking, like, were we just at the wrong spot? Maybe a little lighter of a position here to get back in. We'll punch some 52s, because I'm still feeling short, man. We're coming up into some sell zones, and I just keep stopping myself out. And then it comes back in, and we say, oh, now it's in the money again, so we might as well take a little bit out. And then hopefully there it is. So now we're back into the 1-to-1 again. And let's just see how low we can get. Let's see. Like, stopped out on the bigger part, so a little frustrating here, probably over trading this level right now. Let's let it go. Let's let this go until we take out, let's do an official VWAP, right? 48.72. So let's just go 48.72, and that'll be our stop. We're not really putting too much damage here on the account, so we'll wait and hopefully be able to find a level that we like on the upside now. 48.60, reshort it.
Yeah, it's like we just keep bouncing.
There's nothing
off
going
the
on,
lows
really.
here. Like every time I get in at VWAP, we just bounce essentially right off the lows on IBIT. Oh, by the way, Intel just put in a heck of a reversal candle. Let's see if it's got any. Let's see if it's got any juice to this move. So it just bounced a full percent on the last candle. If it breaks through VWAP, that could be a bit of a trend buster. Because there's no story that I'm aware of going on here with Intel. Like, my first thought is, if you missed a short from there, look for some kind of a scalp trade through the volume weighted average price. But for now, not looking like anything's going on up here. It actually seems like there's a seller at 45.3. Still, Nvidia, I don't know what to tell you, but like, this is what Nvidia is doing right now. So if your plan was to trade Nvidia, at least, look, I liked it a lot lower from here for a support level. There's nothing doing. It's almost like a let it drop kind of situation for NVDA. So while we're waiting for that to do something, maybe ONDS, no breakout on ONDS, no test of the prior low. We're gonna get a 15-minute bar, and I'm only in one thing, and it's like, I don't really see a rush to anything else. Silver is a potential play, you mentioned.
Yeah.
Silver at $71, SLV at $71. I shouldn't say silver because I'm not talking spot silver. At $71, that would be a place to look for a reversion. So I might hop to ZSL and see if there's a mean revert up there, but that's only if it breaks the trend. Because the ways we have geopolitical news as well, like, it's not, if you're wondering why metals are going to be strong, there is also some tension and fears of escalation in Iran, and that, flight safety, all that kind of stuff could be playing out as well. So I do like the strength that you're seeing here. You just have to wait for it to show me a trend reverse. Now that we're headed higher here on SLV. I'm assuming gold probably having a good day as well.
Yeah, I mean, gold and silver, again, the futures just ran the top zone again. We didn't get out of it all, but we did get out of most of it there right now on these TQQs. What a frustrating situation there as we just continue to run around here. I'm favoring the short, so I'm not taking huge positions. I'm trying to layer into this a little bit more here, and it's just so far not the greatest on the. It's at the same. Nothing's going on right now. We need to find some more names. So guys, put in the chat which names you guys want us to look at here today. We can, I mean, let's look at PanW quickly. Okay, I was gonna say, let's look at PanW. That right now, 148. There's our Palantir trade as well. So a few things going on, but we need to be very, very careful. I just got a few more shares. I'm gonna go back over and have a quick little look at this futures trade and then adjust it from here. But yeah, so far, just a little bit of a tipsy-turvy opportunity for me.
What's crazy is Nvidia is #1 on the stock visualizer, and it's doing literally nothing.
Yeah.
Like, look at this opening. This opening range on Nvidia is actually almost comical that it's not doing anything. But on the list, you just mentioned Palantir. Number 2 is going to be PanDub, Palo Alto, and this is also not really moving. But there's something to be said about it. If it doesn't break the low, there's only one place to go. Look at the tight range. It's almost like everything is psyching us out here.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I've been getting psyched out every time. So I don't know about you, but
again, I'm just sort of still in IBIT. Every single candle into VWAP, I basically just reloaded VWAP to play into the lows. I didn't get the last fill, so I'll give it another shot here. If we're just going to sit in the range, if the market breaks higher and this doesn't go, then I think I'm okay with Bitcoin being weak. And if there's no news, sometimes you should just see. There's Intel. It's the problem with the short bias. Now it's busting through VWAP. So there was that reversal candle. I came in with a short bias on Intel, so I'll slap the fail. Where's my fail button?
there goes the futures again.
There's the fail, because I was saying it looked like a bottoming tail candle, but my brain was short Intel all morning long, and so when this happens, they need to get teed off a little bit. So probably going to have to wait for at least silver to set up at 71. You just mentioned Palantir, but that's, again, no dip buy into Palantir. I like the 134 into the prior high. It doesn't even break 135. All right. I guess we're waiting for the pullback into VWAP.
Rivian, SoFi, Apple. Yeah, Apple. I mean, Apple could be. I mean, so first of all, the futures are gone. It was lucky that we were able to scalp out. We're still going to be red on them, but obviously lucky enough to scalp out a little bit there. Just we kept trying, and it just kept on breaking the highs. So all good on that one. Apple. I was looking here too. Like, what are we really thinking here with Apple? I mean, hopefully it wants to bounce off this little wicked out area here, but here now is trying to make lows as well. Apple 263 now looking like it potentially wants to break, and if you get that bottom move, I mean, again, like I'm always going back to these stupid futures. Like I get stopped out, and then it just went all the way back to 65 there. Like I don't know, pretty violent off the open for sure.
Jaw in the chat
should have just gone long Palantir.
But Jaw's like, when did crazy whipsaws become the norm every day in the market? To be honest, the first 15 minutes being a bunch of like chop, that's relatively normal in a long enough time frame. Like it's a perfectly normal phenomenon. That's why you'll hear people say wait for like an opening range break at times, because they want to see like that first 15 minutes or the first like 30 minutes, and then to get a patented play. Like if I'm looking dip buy on Palantir down to 134, well, this is an opening range breakout, at least it looks like it now, but it's doing it before 10 o'clock. So that's a plausible play. ONDS would be a similar one here, where it doesn't test to 980, but if we get this breaking out soon, I might end up taking that 1060 break after all, instead of getting that 980, because we've had time for the chop fest to happen, and then we break out later. So yeah, ONDS is actually charging there now, so this might be the play.
Yeah, I'm just going to short a little bit here on Apple and just see if we can break through that 263 area, and then hopefully get a little lower. Right now, we're just in the money now, 15 cents to 30 cents now as it's trying. Okay, here we go. As it's trying to go. So this is going to be okay. Yeah, let's go Apple right now. Nice move to the downside. So yes, sir. Okay, here we go. Making me forget all about that TQQ trade. Wait a second, what TQQ trade? Yeah, so nice move down now. Boom! We're almost back to zeros now as we go. So, stay with your trades, man. Stay with your strategies, and then just have them go. So, did not work. The short did not work for me on our good friend, the futures. And now I made a brand new friend, and that is Apple. Yesterday's biggest trade for me was Apple long. Today we flip it over and go Apple short, and obviously it's going to have a little bit of pay dirt right now. I'll get a little bit more out here in the 60s and see if it wants to dip down. Our stop was VWAP anyways. Sorry I didn't say that to you guys. 263, I put 75. Okay, so that is where it is. So we'll just take a little bit of profit on that one. So that's 40 cents. We're now in the money 80 cents, so we're out of half. And actually, we're not yet. We got to put another bid. Now we're out of half of this trade for 2-to-1 R to R. So so far 1 to 2, risk to reward. So yeah, let's see what Apple wants to do now. If it's a downside push, we're short already. Good move there on Apple, finally making a little bit of sense on that one. What's up, Adara?
No news here, but I saw people asking about this ticker in our chat. DASH, DoorDash, heading into 170s. Massive push to the upside. This is reports earnings after the bell. So this is just straight green. Again, no earnings yet. They do come after the bell today, but no news for DASH as it does break out above 170. Back to you.
Okay,
Yeah, I've read somewhere that it's in the 18 to 34 demographic in the U.S. DoorDash is like the favored food delivery, which we literally don't even use it anymore. So I guess I'm old, and maybe the youth like it. So they report after the bell. Maybe somebody knows something. Who knows? That could be the play. But we are headed back in. Finally, we reloaded the third time on VWAP, and we're finally breaking through the low here on IBIT. So just a reminder, I'm looking for the press down into $37.75. We're at 66,000. I bet you 66, yeah, we just broke 67,000, so 66.8 on Bitcoin. We're forever underneath 22,000 here on ETH. You just can't seem to get past that level. So looking for the low here on IBIT. That's the only thing that I've traded so far. Nothing else is set up yet. Intel still actually holding on to some strength here is Intel. I'm not really seeing an obvious entry. I'll let this one get to about 10 o'clock, I think, is going to be the better play. And then ONDS. I told you ONDS was on the verge of breaking out. Well, it didn't break out. So I guess we're waiting again. Either we retest that, either we test these lows at 980, or we set up the breakout trade. You want to be patient with it. This didn't break the high yesterday until 11 o'clock, and then the real massive move happened at 1 o'clock. So this could be, it could just happen in the midday. I think with a stock like that, you saw the move it did yesterday, we can be patient with it. But right now, IBIT flushes at the open for the second time in a row. And the difference was, like, everything was chopping around, and IBIT stayed on structure. Like, it just played right into VWAP and right into our stop there at 38.17, and then continues to go lower. But my target is this bottom on IBIT. We've been having a lot of inside moves, and this is a set range from yesterday that we're playing into.
I have to disconnect my earpieces, doing all kind of crazy things here. Yeah, great trade there on IBIT. Obviously, as you know, we've seen Bitcoin sometimes like lead the market. So maybe if Bitcoin can hit the skids a little bit here, the rest of the market will follow. And see, like, it doesn't matter. You know, looking back at it, we were short, and now we're not. So there it goes, the market now. Finally on a little bit of a pullback rate there, which is good for our Apple trade, but it's not really doing a whole heck of a lot. It's nice to see Bitcoin making those moves down. On that Bitcoin talk, let's check out everyone's favorite brokerage. Let's see what Robinhood is up to right now. And it's up to nice. Upside right now for Robinhood, trying to hold VWAP $75. So if you're into Robinhood and you're able to catch that bottom, you just wicked off VWAP on my chart, and that 75 almost flat. So it's a nice little 40-cent retracement back upside right there. So that's a nice little play. See if we can break through on Robinhood now. And I guess I got to zoom back out a little bit here to see on the 5-minute, whoopsies, I'm on the wrong thing there, on the 5-minute chart just to see what we're talking about. Yeah, so that looks like some nice upside, $77. You know, if that would be the top there. I'm just not sure. With the market underneath VWAP and looking to potentially get lower now, I don't love the long, but just watch out for 75. And that goes over to the name that I'm quite well invested in right now, SoFi, and that's SoFi not so good, but it's up 0.7, so that's nice. So there goes SoFi up to the upside as well, and this looks very similar to Robinhood, right? You're looking for that break, and that's about $20. So 1990 or so, good little level there. If we can hold VWAP, I mean, SoFi's a good long, I would think, down there at 1950. But here comes, I was gonna say here comes the market, but not really. Here comes SoFi back in as the market just hanging out again right now. I don't know what is tanking, man. I mean, I saw you're out of IBIT now, but that was a good short.
Meta was tanked.
Meta? Okay, I mean, I don't believe
No,
Meta.
not anymore.
No,
Meta's
okay.
only down
There you
1%. Apple's only down 0.5%, but they are both in the red. We haven't checked Alphabet here. Alphabet was actually breaking out and now is turned red. So this could be one of the culprits. This was a strong stock. Let's see what Amazon is doing. It's just sort of running through some of the big names. ONDS, just, why is this stock not moving? It's really surprising to me. I thought that would be more of a runner today. Amazon not doing a heck of a lot of anything. I did jump out. IBIT came right down into that prior low, and just put a trailing stop in back through 85 when it tagged the 75. We could get back to VWAP pretty quick here, as we are getting a bit of a bounce here in Bitcoin. Let's have a quick look at BMNR. On the way back up, I always want to ask myself, is BMNR relatively strong or weak? Right now, relatively strong. So in the back of my mind, I'm not thinking BMNR is going to be a short for me today. If anything, if we reverse in crypto, BMNR is probably going in the other direction. Okay, ONDS, maybe this time it goes. Okay, so we're bouncing off VWAP. We're just looking for this to take out the pre-market highs here. Not asking too much, I don't think. You can do it, ONDS. Just go. I feel like if I use the force,
Yeah, it might work.
nothing will happen.
Oh.
No. Every now and then, you're just like, come on, do something. Like, I want to poke this stock. This went a bajillion % yesterday, and it won't even go like 2 cents.
There you go.
Come on, buddy.
All right, we got it going. We got it going here. Yeah, let's see if we can get some actionable trades right now. Apple is trying to make its way back up. Let's check out Netflix. Remember, our stop on Apple is 204.75. Although we can, hold on a second. I do want to check out Netflix just quickly. So that's come down a little bit. We'll just stick with where it is. 204.75. Okay, reload up there in the 40s, which we did. So let's see where we go. All right, so Netflix, nice dump yesterday. I mean, I can't believe we got it. What was it, 73 or something yesterday? Or was 75 the low? Yeah, right at the close, 75, sorry. So there's 75. Hit again right there this yesterday morning. So we got into 75 on last week. We got into it yesterday as well. And now today you're trying to hold outside a little bit. I think Netflix looks like there's just a 2-day little look here, but it feels like there's some strength down in and around this area. So we'll see if Netflix is one to be held or not through 75. I wish it was 175. I recently bought that in the mid 60s, mid 80s, so 86 I think it was, or something like that. Okay, there goes Apple. So we're still up on Apple, but we have to hit the fail on that last reload because now it's starting to go right back up to the upside again. So Apple on the short. Yeah, made money, was good there. Tried to put a little bit back on, stopped out right there. Still up on the day on Apple. So that's the kind of stuff that I wanted to talk about because we said yesterday about making sure you don't get blown out of your accounts and taking hits and stops when they are around. And it just goes back to that super chatter, what we mentioned in the chat there, like, is the market always this whippy? No, not really, but today seems to be back.
You're getting it. There weren't a lot of earnings this morning. Right, like I think.
Oh yeah, what is Pan-W doing? It was just Palo Alto, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just Palo Alto. I think there was a couple of other small reports this morning, and then
Palo Alto's going lower now.
Economic data. ODS doesn't want to go. Now all of a sudden, even Bitcoin is bouncing. All right. So the market's looking a little bit stronger. Even Bitcoin's trying to bounce here and starting to look a little bit stronger. I'm just also looking at Intel. I don't know that I want to reload on the way up. I need to see. Well, sometimes you get that one and done trade, and that's the only short. If it V-shapes, I want to see a higher low somewhere. I know I like Intel short at the open, but I missed that trade and got IBIT instead. That doesn't mean you FOMO just sitting in front of this if we go rocketing through 46.25. Show me some kind of a topping tail or trend break, and then I will like the short over on INTC. Okay, ONDS is finally, it's taking its time, but I think it's going to break this 10. It's 10.5 is a bit of a level, and then you've got overhead resistance at 10.65. So if we break the $0.50, just understand, in the first 15 pennies, there's some overhead resistance here on ONDS, and I want to be able to give it to this opening range top, which is just underneath 1036. So it's about to break out this 1050. Took forever to do it, which isn't always what you want to see. I don't mind when like a big cap stock goes slowly into a breakout, but you kind of want this one to be squeezing into a breakout. But either way, it's here now, so ONDS up 4%, and we'll see if it can break this high. I'm probably going to end up just staring at it, because I've now said it's going to happen, so it's just going to wait for me. Do it. Do it. Come on, ONDS. You got to be kidding me, this stock. There we go. It finally broke through. So I got 51s long. The stop's going to go into about that 35 zone, as I was saying before. Try to get it to that 1-to-1 to this prior high. And it's got some room above. Like when you zoom it out, if we can hold this breakout, it's a pretty sizable gap for the next dollar or so on Ondas.
All right, I'm going to start small. I noticed the market was ripping up here, and Nvidia was kind of starting to head a little bit to the downside. So you're right back into the 200 period moving average right now for Nvidia. You know, this is going to be a little bit of a tricky spot, obviously, as it's been very, very bouncy here today. I was just thinking about giving it to the highs that we've just made sort of during this market. Not that very open high, but what about 188.80, something like that for a out, and that way we can sort of. We're starting a little bit early. We just missed that fill there. I was talking, but we do have now an offer at 188.37 just to get a little bit more shares. If that can come in, then we'll just wait to see if the move is higher or lower in these space. And I said that we possibly would like to short advanced micro devices rather than Nvidia, but you can see it's actually the other way around right now. It's AMD that's above the 200 period moving average, above VWAP, above right now it's 50 period moving average. Nvidia has the pickup to go, which we were underneath all of these. So I was actually thinking maybe there was too much strength in Nvidia as people could possibly, you know, make a decision Nvidia v AMD, and I already made the decision to go short AMD and long Nvidia, so we're the wrong way right now on this trade. But just giving it again, see what winds up happening on this upside of 188.80 here for NVDA. Looks like it's trying to push there right now, but the market's long. So today, unfortunately, we were short the Qs, and we had that move there. Should have reversed it into the long once we broke. Look out for...
There goes Palantir high.
Yeah, Palantir high day. See, that was another one.
5% now on
Palantir. Man, Palantir Rip City, eh? Okay, so now we're into NVIDIA, and we got to make a decision up here, because right now we're near a stopping spot for us on NVDA.
Yeah, Palantir going. I mean, everything is starting to break out. So
yeah, big time. I mean, now the market's going.
Yes, now the market is really starting to go. This is why I didn't want to grab that Intel short. Even this is pressing back into some of those highs. But it's Palantir's, where'd the Q come from? This Palantir's day at this point, and looking very, very clean to set upside. There just was no dip. That's the chop that everyone was talking about. I can't remember the last time Palantir did this off of the open and didn't even try to fill in the gap. Usually when it dips at the open, you get much better than like a buck or two. I thought we'd go a little bit lower, but Palantir looking super strong. I see you, Commodity King, and some others in the chat mentioning that RCAT is going. There's a small cap. Sharif says crapper, but just a small capper up 10 points today on RCAT. And look at that bounce. That is as clean as you would like off the 50 period moving average. I don't know the catalyst because I haven't looked at it, and the reason I liked ONDS was just a pure technical setup. So sometimes it can just be technicals. Like I just liked Ondas for this break to try to fill in this gap. So let's see if it can go. At this point, I'm even seeing Bitcoin try to bounce. We had one short there. I'm not even liking a reload currently in Bitcoin. One of the reasons is everything else in the space is bouncing. Coinbase has now broken through its resistance. Yikes. Yeah, the IBIT reload short. I mean, if I was in it, it would be working, but it's the way this market is screaming that got me off that reload here in IBIT. But right back up to our price, and IBIT is still looking weak. So maybe it is worth a bit of a reload here. Let's see if we can actually put in a lower high. Put in a lower high, and then we'll try our shot. Let's go to Adara. It's already 10 o'clock. You know what that means. Time for happening now.
That is, in fact, what 10 o'clock means around here, Neil. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq, which is aggressively approaching pre-market highs. We're still a ways away here from these highs that we had on Friday, that 606 halves level, but right now coming into 605 halves. We'll take a look at the S&P 500. As mentioned, we are going to have some conversations here with Iran on watch with regards to whether or not these tensions will escalate or de-escalate. So be aware of that. If I do see any major headlines, I'll keep you guys posted on that. We're going to talk about some, of course, earnings on watch. Before we get to that, I want to mention META and NVDA. Meta here on the move. Meta, I guess, entering a long-term AI infrastructure deal with NVDA. Now, ARM was apparently implicated in this because of the emphasis on CPUs in the announcement. ARM actually initially pushed higher here, gapping up rather, despite the fact that NVIDIA announced in their 13F filing they sold ARM shares. Other 13F plays include AMZN getting sold pretty heavily by Berkshire Hathaway, though we did have Pershing Square by Bill Ackman pick up some AMZN squares. And let's talk about the aforementioned Palantir. PLTR on watch, trading higher here. They announced a partnership with Rackspace technology to run their Foundry and AIP production with government-managed operations. But the main catalyst we've been talking about here for Palantir is their upgrade from Mizuho. Mizuho upgrading Palantir to outperform with a $195 price target. Last but not least, we'll take a look here at PANW. This is the S&P 500 chart there. I do apologize, but here's Palo Alto's chart. This one languishing near lows of day, beating EPS and sales estimate, but they lowered their EPS outlook for fiscal 2026. Lots to look at here as we send you back over to Sean and Neil.
Yeah, thank you very much, Adara. But guess what, guys? We are just 6 days away from the launch of Trader TV Academy. We took our time with this because we didn't want to give you just the course. We wanted to give you a modernized version of the exact step-by-step learning platform that we actually used here on Trader TV Live. We are finally getting close to the launch of this very exciting project, and we'll continue the countdown here every single day until it is launched. We are now just 6 days away. That's right, February the 24th. Mark it down on your calendars. We'll be opening the doors here to show you exactly how we learn to trade. Be sure to turn on your notifications so you don't miss this launch, and join us every single day as we'll talk more about it. Videos of us talking about our journeys, the software, the mentality that we have as well, going through step-by-step, learning the markets, learning the ropes. And I think that especially if you are a beginning trader, this should be for you. You'll be able to see the mentality involved with trading, and the fact that it involves very much so discipline. And we've talked about that so many times here live.
Understanding your tools is a very underrated aspect of trading. I can't tell you. Look, I mean, true story. Last month, we found something out about a key that we were using.
Oh, right, yep.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit it. I had a misconception about the function of one of our many stop keys that we have at Real Trading. I was wrong about it, and the order that it fired wasn't as aggressive as I thought, and it ended up costing a few extra bills. It is what it is, and knowing that would have saved money. So it's one of those things that I think it's incredibly important, and ultimately, wherever you are in your journey will help, but if you're a beginning trader, sometimes those basics are incredibly important. So I just want to jump back over. Look, there's a lot of things that are breaking out right now.
Nvidia's screaming.
About 10 minutes ago, Sean showed you Robinhood that was doing nothing. Robinhood's now up 3% and screaming. Oh, so you're like, well, what else is going? Random? Rigetti's up 7%. Okay, Rigetti, why? I don't know why. Doesn't even make any sense.
What the flip?
SMR is breaking out the high of the day. This got dumpster fired at the open yesterday, dropping almost 7 or 8% at the open, and now it's absolutely flying for reasons unknown. I just saw Aaron Harvey in the chat say, what about Open Door? Without even looking, like, I bet you that's going crazy too, because why not? Everything seems to be relief rallying. So Open Door's up 7%. I want to say they report soon, but I'm not sure. Is it tomorrow?
Is it? Okay.
Oh, okay. I felt they reported this week, but I wasn't 100%
Everything is screaming.
sure. But this is now screaming to the upside, although look at a daily chart. Maybe screaming on a 3-minute chart, but on the daily chart, that is not much of anything happening there. ONDS just pressed into that prior high.
Wow, Nasdaq, eh?
Oops, I can show you the 15-minute. We'll show you that prior high a little bit better. So that breakout in ONDS, it just pressed through the prior high, going back to the 9th. And if I zoom out a little bit further, now it's hunting for this gap to about 11.25. So I'm on the bid, gonna reload this one at VWAP, but as I said, even all those frothy names, they're all catching a bid. Market's going higher, but it's being led by a lot of small cap type runners. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking at the Nasdaq, it's 1%. The ES is 0.7%. The Russell is 1.25. So I'm seeing a very small to mid cap led rally, and that's where you should be maybe focusing your bullish attention to. It does mean that there might be weakness elsewhere, but I haven't been able to find it. I was thinking about going back over to that IBIT short. Thankfully, it never set up. Now it's blowing out through the high. So no point trying to fight this. Market's going up, and if you were expecting extreme dip buys, they just didn't happen in the places that we expected. Like Palantir didn't fill the gap, now up 5.5%. Nvidia didn't even come close to filling this gap in. Heck, I think I said 185. 188 is about as far as it was going.
Isn't that crazy? I'm short Nvidia here, but hasn't been working.
192 has been undefeated for 3 weeks on Nvidia.
192. Yeah, I remember I was saying that I think we could get to some of those levels today, right now. But we'll see. we're short, so I hope it doesn't get to those levels. But we're just short for a little bit of a pullback into the day's high there. We'll see if it does want to give some back. Yeah, Intel, I mean, we went to Adara, we asked, and we were answered with nothing because the story was nothing there on Intel. And you mentioned that maybe potentially, and I think it was a kind of a good look by you there, that maybe there was a 13F situation there, but I don't.
That's the government
that's
filing
already
a 13F that they sold?
No, because the thing is like.
So like I said, the only 13F there is just confirming what we already knew, that Nvidia bought them last quarter.
Yeah, so, but just as a story, like that's already been, like those 13Fs are past filings. It's like, it's someone that would have to get on the back of that trade and be like, yeah, we agree, and then sell it down there as well, which doesn't really happen too much. I mean, these 13Fs are really old stories. We saw that Apple, I think they sold 4% or something, still owning $61 or $9 billion worth of Apple shares. And, that short for me did not work out. And that was part of the reason too, was, selling off there. Thought Apple, had an opportunity to get a little lower than current, and did not. So Apple was actually fine. We're actually up on Apple today. Really the damage for me is right now in this Nvidia short, and we just took some profit there on it, but these trades were bad. We got stopped out there. Now we're just waiting to see about that top breaking through 80s. That's gonna be my stop now on Nvidia, just a high of the day. I mean, the market absolutely ripped like crazy there to start the day. SMR keeps on hitting for me. Why? What's going on with SMR here today? New scale. Yeah, I mean, well, it hasn't, it's gone now, but high a day break, I guess, is what we're talking about. I mean, a lot of scanners going off on high a day breaks right now as the market's screaming to the upside. I'm assuming that a name...
Netflix is going to?
Yeah, I'm assuming a name like, there goes Tesla. I was gonna say, assuming a name like Tesla, also trying to get lower here as well. We'll put another bid out on Nvidia, take some profit here. Now it's starting to come back just a wee bit here for us on Nvidia. So we like that talk now, but we need a little lower if we're going to start to finally turn around some profit here on Nvidia. And just putting some orders out in the teens now and see if we can get something, as we're short now 50s on Nvidia. It's finally starting to print down just a little bit here into the, okay, well, this is kind of, it's not, I don't want to say lucky because, you got to put the trades on, but we were short earlier and lost on it. So, just lucky that it's finally starting to think about moving back into the downside here as this market looking to break, and there it goes. So, all right, we're now out of half of this Nvidia trade as it just kind of gets 1-to-1 now. That was a much bigger out. I wish we would have waited for the whole damn thing on that short side, but there it is. Finally shorting Nvidia as it's pulling back. But we got to take advantage of this pullback because the market's long. And if you're scalping short, scalp is the key word. You should probably do that. Take profits when you see profits, and then maybe the market turns around, but maybe it doesn't. And being short Nvidia or Palantir or any of these names that really get going are a death wish in a market that rips. And you never know where your outs are going to be. So make sure you take profit when it comes. Oh, there it is. Yeah, thank you. Check the 8 ball.
What are we checking the 8 ball for?
For what? Huh? Oh, you mean? Oh, yeah. We won't have to check the 8 ball. We'll check the. We'll check the sheet. We'll check the scoring sheet there. Randy wants us to double check his picks, and we will.
We've never spilled a coffee.
We will do that.
When have I spilled a coffee?
Yeah,
recently.
You probably. Okay, there.
Okay,
we go. So
no.
You probably have.
Literally, nah. It's been probably at least a couple of years. At least a couple of years since I spilled a coffee on this nice desk. Randy built the desk, by the way.
This desk is not even a couple years old. This one, I don't think.
Yeah, sure. This one? No? Okay, well, okay, fine. No. But it's
but there it is, man. XOM, Randy. I mean, this is probably what you're coming back here for. Take a little victory lap as XOM. Beautiful trade, man. Just keeps on making its ways higher. Yesterday, we did have a little bit of a pullback, but then as today we see Iran and U.S. tensions starting to increase a little bit, there goes XOM to the upside. We want to thank Randy for dropping off some Java right there. But yeah, out of half of this trade, again, this may not work, but we're going to give it to the top side here on Nvidia.
Yeah, I just saw Jay Bronson. Why is that getting? Here, YouTube has been blocking some comments. That
has it? Okay.
Fine. ONDS, be careful. It's a fickle. Maybe you shouldn't say the word broad. I don't know. Fickle's not a bad word.
I heard pickle. So that explains my confusion. I thought it was a euphemism. So fickle's
different. It might be fickle, but it's also on sort of trend. Oh, that's a bad trend line. Anyways, I can redraw this a bit better if we come to my chart. Thank you. I can draw this a little bit better, but if we lose trend, I was sitting at VWAP. I should cancel it now. We got to first resistance, so we did take a couple of legs out, but that's a little, there you go. That's a little bit better. If it loses this trend line, I jump out and see if VWAP holds. So it's just a matter of moving the stop. The other name I'm looking at pretty closely here is going to be Intel as the market hits a bit of a top. Oh, that didn't save either. Thank you. I didn't hit save. There's Intel. It was looking like it was going to go right into this pre-market high, break the trend line, and we look for a VWAP retrace. Instead, it's pressing higher. So it hasn't actually closed looking weak off of this trend line yet, which means no entry for myself on Intel for that short. And I'm not going to rush into it. We just got to wait for it to set up that short. We could blast higher and get all the way to like 47 before we definitively break that trend line. For sure. And I do see a lot of other names in the chat. Wendy's has been all over this chat.
Yeah, well, no, there was
what's the story?
Nelson Peltz or something.
Oh, Peltz?
Derek can get it.
13F?
There was Wendy's. Yeah,
Okay,
there was Wendy's.
Wendy's has been getting destroyed.
It was like at 9 o'clock or something.
No, but this stock has been getting absolutely woodshedded forever. When was the last time?
It's because no one's eating the chicken tendies anymore.
Look, actually, you know what's really bad? I wanted to say that we like Wendy's and we get it, but my daughter only ever wants A&W and McDonald's recently.
Okay,
so we never get Wendy's anymore. But if this gets through $8, close above the 50, that is volume at the low. Big time volume at the low for a reversal candle, but can it actually follow through would be the question. Adara?
So as far as I'm seeing of this Nelson Peltz tree and Wendy's, it looks like they held the position steady. So that does not really explain this. So they didn't cut it. They didn't add much as far as I could tell. I'm seeing that it was, quote, largely steady for WEN.
Got to at least add to the position.
No, I mean, I think it's, I think it does explain it. No, I mean, the thing is that that's the reason why it's going, right? I mean, that's what released it. But to Dara's point, like, should it be going up here is the other question, right? I mean, I think that's, you know, what the stocks wind up doing is what they wind up doing. And, you know, it's just that's, as soon as it was released, that story, it started to go. And I think it's because there's a decent short float in this. Yeah. Oh, the short float is just 60%. So on Wendy's. So, you know.
60%?
Yep.
No.
Yep. So those of you guys caught on the wrong side of this, today is covering. So, you know, that's the trade. So it's a short float right there. It's 53 million shares out, 31 million short. So right there, 57, 58% short float today on Wendy's, which is creating this move higher there as there's the story, Trian Fund. So there it is at 904, right? So as I was saying, like, regardless of our opinion on if that should happen or not, there's 904. There's the release of that, and there it goes to the upside. And it wasn't really on not too much volume, but now the volume trying to pick up as people doing that research, like I just did right there, 58% short float. That doesn't mean that this stock's going up or down. It's just like we saw Beyond Meat.
It just helps it go up when it breaks out levels.
Yeah, like Beyond Meat was a huge short float, and yeah, they only got shorter and shorter and shorter into that trade, right? And so, you know, you got to be careful, but it does create spikes when there's some interest in the name. Like you could see Beyond Meat there just went whoops all the way up to $8 and then whop all the way down again. So yeah, that's these are short float bumps, and I feel like you're probably getting something, not probably, you are getting something very similar there on Wendy's, right? Where you're finally starting to see a little bit of a pop there, you know, probably something there, all these little wicks higher, creating those actions. So there it goes, man. Wendy's upside, and Nvidia just went back to flat. So I'm gonna put another bid here in the low 30s, see if we can grab that, because you're getting ready to make new moves higher here on Nvidia. So a little nervous hands, but good thing we've covered a lot of that down there at 189. But let's get a little more short at the top side. And remember where we're stopping out, man. If this breaks 81s, we'll get out for Nvidia.
Yeah, and this market just continues to go. Intel was so close to breaking the trend line down, and then it just bounced and made another fresh high. So it looks like, you know, this one's not going to end up being a short setup at all at this point. You start looking over, AMD's got almost the exact same thing going on, like very clean upward trend. I'm going to definitely prefer to take the trend break on Intel over AMD as they're all heading higher. But then check out Micron. Oh my goodness. Who was it that was wanted short SNDK this morning? This is probably, oh, it's not that bad.
I mentioned short Micron 95.
1.7% up on SNDK. I kind of figured maybe.
Wow.
But this is almost at 420
Oh, there goes Nvidia.
Stocks are absolutely insane at this point. Meanwhile, Ondas, yay, the exact same move as before. Like, so the next 15-minute candle needs to be breaking out this high. If we don't break this top on this 15-minute candle, then there's probably just better names to be looking at. But the other side of this coin, when all of these names are going so strongly, is I'm starting to look for what's super extended. If it's not going to be a reversion on Intel, anytime you're going parabolic, I'm looking for a trend reverse. Open Door is up 7%. Maybe it's got a little. It's $5 is probably way better.
Micron
than
is going insane.
There's got to be something setting up pretty well for a trend break, for sure. Commodity King says, look at ETHA. I might be done with. I don't see anything too crazy here.
Back into VWAP.
Hasn't broken the highs, so maybe that could be shorted. But what about, why not just go to IBIT? That's the other thing, though. Why not just look at IBIT? That's still trending to the upside as well. So I'm not really seeing anything that's breaking a trend for a short. So we'll hold on to Ondas as it's trying to break back through in the high of the day, and we'll see if this one actually gets us to 11 bucks here. No pullback into VWAP just yet. But let's be real. This market, a little bit of a surprise that we didn't have that much of a dip at the open, given what the pre-market was telling us. But now everything's in breakout mode. So if you're looking for a short, you just got to wait for it to set up as one of these small cap names. My first thought was Open Door, and that's not feeling like it's the right one. So I'm going to continue to look for one of these, like a Rigetti or something that had no catalyst and is going absolutely ham, and just look for a bit of a reversion on one of these.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good talk there. Looking for stocks to get into zones. I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Maybe now it's pullbacks into VWAP or like someone. We talked about Palantir today, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, maybe we get to that price today. It's already at 140 right now. This stock was 128 or something yesterday. PLTR, what a mover, man! And it just takes. Mizuho must have got some options on this, or there goes Palantir. There goes Nvidia, by the way. You know, there was 128 yesterday. Today, 141 or so. Looking to make some moves here on Nvidia, on Palantir. Again, maybe waiting for some kind of a VWAP trade to come through or not on that. But yeah, 189 here for Palantir, or for Nvidia, seems to be a little bit of a top side action on that trade. Apple, it's a good thing we sort of got out of that, as that sort of ripped all the way to the top side right here. We're trading a lot of big cap names. You're on ONDS, which was nice. I'm short Nvidia. Yeah, you're on ONDS. I'm still short Nvidia. And we've got a Dara over at the big desk with a small cap recap.
Before we dive into the small caps, I want to mention J&J, Johnson & Johnson, announcing that they're investing over $1 billion in a cell therapy manufacturing facility in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Now, this is one of many companies that has been investing in U.S. manufacturing, and so this isn't like completely shocking news, but either way here, just worth noting J&J just now announcing that more than $1 billion investment in their cell therapy manufacturing facility in Pennsylvania. We'll start here at the small cap recap with a relatively small name that I know Neil has been trading today. And yeah, shocker, it's ONDS, guys, Ondas. Yesterday morning, they announced that their Centrix has secured a German state police contract to enhance airspace protection. Next up, we have a penny stock here, RENX. This, much like with ONDS, is not a catalyst from today. With RENX, it's actually from Friday. The company announcing at that time that they have priced a $6 million private placement with a fixed conversion price. As you can see, nice move off the open for RENX, though it is below that key pre-market high. Next up, RXT. I've actually mentioned this one before today, but not on its own. I actually mentioned it in connection with Palantir, because RXT, with a larger cap correlation catalyst here, announcing that they're going to be collaborating with Palantir Technologies over the deployment of Palantir's Foundry and AIP. So nice look here for RXT. Near intraday highs at $1.40. RXT, ONDS, and RENX. Those are your small cap trio for today. Back to you.
As always, we always say.
Thank you very much, Dara.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I found the trend break for myself. It's going to be.
Thank you,
I can't believe I forgot about this one. Silver got not silver, but
SLV.
SLV, the ETF, got to 71. So it got to key price level. ZSL, which is the inverse, has been trending very cleanly down. So break trend line on 3 minute, go long, scalp into this like VWAP to 250 area, and then see what it can do. I'll hit save so I don't have to redraw that again. But if you're confused by that, there is SLV. It's the same. It's basically the same trade. Like I could slap a trend line on this, and then you would short this into VWAP. Just looking at the inverse here on ZLS for a potential entry, is it does look like it's trying to make
strong market.
Like silver trying to make a top here. As the market's been pressing higher, it's slowing down a little bit. So just looking for ZSL to break that trend line. If it never does, then I don't have to be in the trade. And update on ONDS. Looks like it is threatening to lose the uptrend that it's been on. So it doesn't break out that high cleanly. It needs to keep bouncing off that trend to get us into $11. But at this point, I'll probably just get out. I'd move my trail. If we lose this 1060, then I'm jumping out of ONDS. And if that's as far as it goes, that's as far as it goes. And we move on to the next one, which to me is looking like a bit of a silver play as well. So strong day in the market. But one thing to keep in mind is silver was strong all morning when the market wasn't doing anything. So I don't think that taking a short or a long in a ZSL or a short in silver necessarily matters as much with this market strength because it was doing its own thing to begin with.
All right, just hearing, I just heard something about explosions there in Iran, so I don't know if we're going to,
Oh boy.
if we need, yeah, it's okay. So we'll just.
Then literally the most powerful and largest vessel in the arsenal just got sent into the Mideast. So escalation is very possible.
Yeah, so that's why I was thinking about, like, we talked about that with Randy about XOM and upside plays there. But, you know, sometimes it's kind of, it's not sad to say, it's just the way the market, I'm already on the TQs, right? It's just sometimes the market will take, you know, upside on stories like that. So I don't know, we're gonna have to wait. We can see what happens with oil right here. We are always looking at the March contract as of yesterday, I believe anyways, 64 and change. So oil not really reacting too much to it. I mean, we already saw oil up today and it looks like it's just kind of hovering around. So as Adara said, man, until we get, you know, I guess exact reports of exactly what's been attacked, if anything anyways, some of those reports go back and forth, right? And they're not exactly accurate all of the time. Right there. So yeah, so we'll get out of our Nvidia and now just, you know, probably just try to play the other way now and think finally about what we want to do. I mean, the market is screaming higher. I mean, Apple, I don't know, yesterday we went long, today we went short. The market's like screaming up and we're just going short. Gold, yeah, good call there, Hamster. I mean, you could look at some gold trades. If there is something about that, we could look at gold. But here we go. What's up, Adara?
Yeah, so it's worth noting here, none of the accounts I follow are posting this. I'm literally had to search pretty deep on X to find this, but I am seeing some talks about smoke rising into the sky of the city of Paran in Tehran province in Iran. I guess an explosion was heard in the area on Wednesday. Unclear when this video was taken on Wednesday. Cause remains unknown, and I'm also seeing some of these posts saying this also could be a fire. This is not like brand new though. This is going back to like 8 to 10 minutes ago, so still relatively new. But again, no accounts that I follow are posting about it. So no one yet, at least these market-related accounts don't seem to be finding any significance yet. Back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, so and again, always keep the ear to the ground. If you're trading oil futures,
Yeah, it could mean nothing.
it could mean nothing, but also there could be, there could be something happening. We did trail out there on ONDS. I'll look at VWAP and see if it holds, but we broke the trend line. So I said if it breaks the trend line, we jump out, and that has now happened. So on to the next, and it's actually screaming a little bit. I mean, that could have been a short, I suppose, for a reversal, but that wasn't my plan of action. I wanted to look for longs today above that $9.80 and $10 level. So I'm looking for ZSL or silver to finally break the trend line and give us an entry point. It's just going to have to be, it's going to have to take a little bit of patience, I think. Only been in 3 names, each one a little bit different, but at this time of day, I really do want some kind of a trend break and not to fight anything too crazy. That is not looking good. IRBX, the trader Sam just said IRBX. I've seen a few people. IBRX, I should say. IBRX, which is Immuno. This is another small capper. I know Sharif would be all over this one. I haven't seen the story for this one, but I do remember, okay, it's about, it's $8, that this one went, that wasn't as recent as I thought. That was like a month ago. Wow, it's a month ago that this thing went to $8.
Oh, okay.
It went like $2 to $8, and now it's going into some big overhead resistance. So just watch out. It's only a $0.50 away from getting into some monster levels. Adara, what was the news on that?
They received European Commission authorization for one of their treatments. So they're getting, authorization from the EU for one of their treatments. That is the news there for our friends here at IBRX. And as Neil said, like they've run before multiple times. It's not just like a couple times this thing has rallied.
Yeah, thanks, Adara. And on much bigger, like look at the volume the first time it went to $8. Like it's a fraction of the volume, not even anywhere close to the volume that we were seeing. And I know it's early, but like give me a break. Like this is like more than 10x the volume when it got to $8 before. So a little bit of a light volume move there on this bad boy. ZLSL doesn't want to go. Seems like it's running. Still trending to the upside is silver. So until that trend breaks, it's not going to do much. Amazon, crazy that this is now up 2.5%. At the open, we were talking about how there was a chance they could resume that down streak.
There it goes.
Oh, no. Now you're breaking out the highs and just continuing to fly. So again, just going to have to preach a little bit of patience because I want to find not a big cap name. It'll be silver or it'll be like a small capper that I don't see any rhyme or reason to that doesn't have a catalyst that I want to look for the trend back. Rigetti is a bit of a thought for me. The problem here is if I wanted that trend break, I'd already be in it. So as it tests back higher, there might be a little lower high short in Rigetti here if I don't get ZSL. And we have to pay for locates. So I'm going to go ahead and at least be ready and pay for some locates on Rigetti.
What's up, Bart? They're mentioning that I might be early a little bit on my short, but that's okay. I'm short in the market here, just because we've been ticking out to the top side. So finally, a little here. We can go on the TQs. I just want to show you Micron. Like, wow, up 6%. Like, just wow, what a move, man. This is like $20 straight up. Right there. So yeah, good on the Micron longs right now that are in the account. If not in my account, in your guys' account, if you have them. There goes Micron. And I had sort of said that this on the daily, like you want to see about that. We tried to get up to high. That's 439. I think if you were able to buy any dips down to there, you're getting a wicked awesome opportunity right now. Wicked awesome to get out at 423. Shout out to everybody from Boston. That's a good little level right there. So I am good move higher. I don't think it's necessarily the short yet there for Micron. But yeah, what I'm trying to do here, again, we're flat on the trade, might not do anything, but it's just we've sort of ticked out right up here a couple times. We've seen it, make those moves back in. Obviously, we're a little early, as we had mentioned. We probably should not have. I thought there was a top. Let's force it. Not force it, but let's see if we can join the party onto the downside. But this is your 25 period moving average. We've talked about that a couple times here on the show. It needs to break. So that right now, obviously it needs to break if the short's going to work, but it's right now been bouncing off of that level pretty much since the morning, since we were involved with this at 9:40. It held there, and then it held basically again at 10 o'clock. And it looks like, although that was just one little wick, but it still holds it. So nice move lower is what we're looking for. But again, we have a good out. So this is like exactly when you want to put on shares. It doesn't matter, bigger size, smaller size, but at least now you have a top end, right? Like shorting all the way to oblivion, like I did on Nvidia there, not a smart move, because now it finally pulls back, but we didn't really have a top right into here. Why we're shorting here makes sense to me. These are the highs. We talked about 189. We were able to take a little, we got hit, but we're able to take a little bit out there on the way down, then just shorting all the way up into 190, hoping that 190 fails, not great. Take the trade when it actually does fail, and we see a top. So yeah, I don't want to go back into the short. It's up 3%, the market's screaming. But right there for Nvidia, that would have been a smarter trade. So these were all stupid right into there. I was thinking short underneath VHUB. It was not acting properly. As soon as it broke to 200, that's maybe where we could have got out and then waited to see something like what's happening now, a retracing break lower. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for here. Looks like we're finally getting some kind of a push down here on the TQs. My stop was the high of the day, which is about 10 cents from here. So I'm waiting for 85s. That's where I have my next or my only bid right now. So although now I guess I have it at 85, but that might be just a little bit silly because, okay, I'll punch them out at 87, whatever. We're still there. We're still at 85. Just noticing that, okay, there it goes. So just noticing that we had changed, obviously, where that was. So that's that low bottom take there. So finally, we have a short on that I believe we can hold for a couple of seconds as we break below now. Let's give this a little bit of love, see if the short can work for us. What's up, Adara?
What's up here is UBER. This initially came out, I was seeing apparently around 9:30-ish from Reuters, but I'm just seeing it circulate now, so I want to mention it. Uber reportedly planning on spending $100 million to build fast charging hubs for autonomous vehicles, and they're also going to be offering incentives for more EV chargers in the US and Europe. So again, UBER charging story from earlier today, just worth noting here for Uber. Back to you.
You're just working there?
Thank you there, Dara. I did finally get into, well, both of them at once. It'll be Rigetti and ZSL. So I'm showing you Rigetti on that trend break. I tried to get filled above the 50 level, so I've nibbled in on more or less at 40s here, mid 40s. But I want my next fills to get me an average price of 1050 because I was 1650. I want a 1650 price, but it's a bit whippy in here, and I'll give it to 1665. ZSL, here I'll just show you the black chart because it'll keep it easier. There was the trend line from before. It's broken the trend line. I got some 41s in here. I'm sitting on the bid, try to grab 40s. It's a $2 stock, so I think I'll probably get picked up, and then we'll play it into the volume weighted average price and throw up the super chat from Frederick there if we can. I just saw it.
HYMC?
Specifically, Frederick Von Yummy Pants. That's the name, then I'll say it. HYMC is currently up 16% just on the early earnings reports of other companies. Keep your eyes on AGI, NEM, and whoever else is reporting soon because these free cash flows are going to be biblical.
No.
Okay.
I do want to.
You were, Frederick. I think it was you that was saying these miners were going to have
because these free cash flows are going to be biblical. Okay.
I think you were saying this last week, so. Sticking to your guns on that. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you. I believe I just heard we're going to Adara again.
Keep an eye here on ALTS. Now, this is Alt 5 Sigma. They are affiliated with World Liberty, and they just got a spike to the upside, as you can see. Looks like we are live with the Trump brothers. And when I say Trump brothers, I specifically mean Eric and TJ, Donald Trump Jr. With CNBC. And at this World Liberty Financial Forum, we have Donald Trump Jr. telling CNBC that World Liberty is the fastest growing stablecoin in history. Whether or not that is or is true, or is not true, we do have ALTS moving. So again, guys, keep an eye on this ALTS World Liberty Forum happening right now, and Donald Trump Jr. calling World Liberty the fastest growing stablecoin in history. And back to you.
Okay, so yeah, supporting. I mean, they have ABTC there, is a big stock for them. This is theirs. It's rallied okay in the last couple of days, I thought, but maybe no. It's low, still $1, so we're still not really rallying at all right now. American Bitcoin Treasury. This is their stock, the Trumps. At least it's Eric, I believe, is the one that always talks about this. So, figure that all out and, get back into ABTC if you are exactly interested. AMD, Wendy's popping again. I mean, I see you guys in the chat. We just talked about this a couple percentage points ago. Nelson Peltz saying the stock is undervalued, taking a stake, and likes it. 58%, and a slight increase on the 13F filing. But it's more the comments that he likes the stock and whatnot. So Nelson Peltz, he's not loving McDonald's, but he's loving Wendy's. And it's just about undervalue. So remember, if he had said it's undervalued, they'd taken a stake in it. It's now popped 15%. He could be using your liquidity as value and getting out right there. So it might be already time for Sir Peltz to ring the register for sure. A stock that we had, it's just so funny because today all we had written down was longs, and the number one error for me today is going short everything. So that was a mistake, but it was Palantir long, Nvidia long, Apple long as well, and silver long. So everything is pretty much printing to the right side. You were in and still in ZSL, so that looks like that could potentially be pulling back off of that recent high. Obviously, we're in the futures, that's pulling back. Is Apple finally pulling back? I mean, no. So we went short. It's funny that I'm still up. This is the only stock that'll be up on right now. Will be Apple. We only traded 3 names. Short the futures. Well, the futures pending trade, but definitely down on Nvidia. So down on Nvidia, up on Apple, but down way more on Nvidia than we're up on Apple. But there it goes. Right now, 265. What was the high yesterday? Because where did we turn around? All right, so 260, 625s or so. I thought Apple was maybe a short today. It had such an epic run yesterday. Thought we would try the short. Got out of it right away at VWAP. So if anything, that saved me a little bit. That was a great idea to do that and not average in, and as we saw it continue to go to the upside, as opposed to what we did on Nvidia, the complete opposite. We should have, where we stopped out right here at the high of the day, that should have been it, and then we just kept on shorting right there, which is too bad because the short obviously has printed. Like all these everything I did in the last 20 minutes made money, but we got stopped out. So, you gotta watch out your P's and Q's and make sure you don't have, or make sure you do have the right amount of shares so you don't get stopped out if that's something that's happening to you right now. I bet right now, by the way, the market 67, 68,000 for crypto. I dipped my toes again at 66, basically 66 flat. So that's starting to work out, but not. I mean, any day this thing is up or down $5,000. So we'll wait to see if this breaks 40. There's the break right now on IBIT. I believe that's day's high. Yeah, so day high break happening right now on IBIT as the market's trying to get back to the day's high as well. So nice move there on Bitcoin. As we just mentioned, the Trump's talking a little bit about crypto now. And we'll see if it wants to move the needle or not. But IBIT back to flat on the day, which is pretty good. Would expect it to be higher than this considering where the Nasdaq is, to be honest with you. But
at least it's going.
Yeah, at least
ETH is at 2,000 as we speak. We just broke 2,000 on ETH, so ETHA is
upside.
Yeah, kind of a random level on ETHA, but it is 2,000. And oftentimes you're going to hear us talk about the ETFs because that's what you trade here. Not that we couldn't trade directly. We actually have crypto. It's just if you already have equity buying power and equity risk, it just makes sense to trade the ETF if you can. Ooh, well, I might actually get that resting offer here on Rigetti. I'm still trying to pick up some shares. Seriously, like 2 more cents, and then we actually get the fill here. And I do still have an order above the 53. So, waiting for us to get the price that we want here in Rigetti. I wanted 50 and couldn't. Get the 50 levels, so I'm taking mid-40s, and then I'm also going to get a fill at the mid-50s and just end up with a 50 price because I couldn't actually get 50 on the way in. But the risk is to this prior bar high, and I want it into VWAP. ZSL is just the inverse on silver. There is the trend break. There's the confirmation. I just sat on the bid to be able to get the rest of the fill, and now I'm playing for this to just, even if it V-shapes back into like VWAP, and then we'll take some more out in front of 250, as silver has been strong all day long. Right? Like SLV, obviously I'm in an inverse, has been strong, but starting to buck that trend, which gets me in. Again, just looking for the VWAP retracement. Gold has been pretty strong. Always trading with a stop, whether for me it's prior bar on a trend break or low of the day, that kind of a thing. Because you still could get any kind of a headline. We've already heard potential for explosions in Iran, and if we get something unforeseen happening, you could see metals bounce back to the upside, but it's just a trend reverse, which I like as a trade. If you're going back over to where the real strength is in this market, AMD's down 1.5%. You think, okay, maybe that's going. No, it's Micron. Although Micron's pulling back, already off like $4 off this high here, but that's one of the strongest names, and it was small cappers. The reason I'm on Rigetti is because there were so many of these small cappers that were going absolutely crazy in the morning without catalyst, and it just seemed like a bit of a squeeze fest going on here. So that's why I like this one, because I couldn't find a story on it, and it was extending a little bit, in my opinion, too far. And if you're just looking at the 15-minute, once it pressed back into these highs, and I'm going back into last week, this is where it had a breakdown underneath 17 bucks, and then the lower high was up here. So it pressed into a level, did a trend break, so we're going to play short. Market is leading the way, but hopefully these small cappers without catalyst can give us a little bit of a retracement trade.
I just want to say hi to all of our friends right now live following us on TikTok. So shout out to everybody on TikTok. Thank you for joining us here. And yeah, we're live on TikTok if that's your preference. Go find us on TikTok. What's up, Adara?
Yeah, hello, TikTok viewers. Let's take a look at this sector watch. We'll start here with what's weaker. That's going to be utilities to the downside as a group. Communications right across the board. Health technology mostly red here. But we do have some strength in names like producer manufacturing, or sectors rather, like producer manufacturing. Applied Materials and LRCX, Lam Research, both to the upside. Finance, green across the board for the most part, with the larger names of some of these real estate plays, including AMT. to the downside. Again, some insurers as well, like Progressive, also trading lower here. We've got this commercialization sector here doing quite well. Non-energy minerals doing quite well. So Newmont on watch, a couple days ahead of their earnings report tomorrow after the bell. Nice look here. Tech services, really strong across the board. The notable and basically only exception to that strength will be our earnings play. Palo Alto Networks down 6.5%, though it's bouncing nicely here off of its reaction lows. Then you've got electronic technology here. This is actually quite strong as a group as well, though light red in names like AMD, Texas Instruments, and Boeing. So generally a lot of strength here. The sectors that are weak tend to be selling off to a noticeable degree. Back to you.
Yeah, those durables, Procter weak.
Yep.
Walmart down 0.5%.
Is it again?
AbbVie down over 2 points on AbbVie. That seems a little bit much. Eli Lilly I get, but like, come on, AbbVie's going to be down 2.5%. But it's rotation. If it's tech and those type of risk names that are going up, we know where the weakness has generally been. At least one other place where the rotation has been strong, load, is still doing well, and that would be like your oil and energy names. My guess is the reason they're going to be strong today, despite the fact there's a rotation back into tech, is obviously what's going on in the Middle East. So that headline probably giving a little bit of a bump to names. I mean, Chevron, Exxon, both going to be strong. Oil going to be strong a little bit here. But for everything else, those staples that have been so good, if you like them, I'm looking at Walmart. If Walmart goes down another 5-10%, I might be able to grab that one. Not for a reload, but just to add to the position. So it did get filled at Rigetti here, came right back into that mid-40s. So I got 45 there. I have a 55 offer. Again, I want the price to be 16.5, and I really couldn't get it on the way down. So the only way I'll get 16.5 is if it pops back up and gives me 55. But we're playing this back into the volume weighted average price. And there is a name, Showtime.
What's up, Showtime?
That's what I want to hear. SoFi going to break 20.
Oh, okay.
Why do we want to hear it? Because SoFi has been dying. That's the reason. That's part of the reason. Candidly, and just to let you guys know, I own shares of SoFi, obviously, in the long term. Otherwise, why would I care that it's up 1.5%? But this is another name that has been bled. You're talking about pulling back over 40% from the highs, despite having a strong quarter. And last I checked, we always talk about flat bottom breaks, because quite frankly, we have a key for it. I can hit a button and it's got a nice little graphic on it and all that good stuff. But I don't have a button for a flat top break, which doesn't make any sense. We like when stocks go up more than when they go down. So just imagine me hitting a button that says flat bottom, flat top break, and then there'd be like an arrow going up and all that fun stuff. Basically the opposite of this. And that would be SoFi in about 2 or 3 cents for sure. So SoFi looking pretty good, not at 20 yet, but this has a little bit of a gap fill as well. The only reason I don't like it, this is not the time of day that I like breakout trades. I prefer, if you break out this late, play the dip back into prior high or into VWAP as a way to go. And that's reminding me, yeah, like even ONDS. Like ONDS broke out and did nothing with the breakout. And that was even earlier. Like it went 1050 to 1075 and couldn't really press past that first quarter, unfortunately. And that was an early break. Just didn't do any follow through. And it's still not following through. So this is a time of day that I think you want to be patient with these breakout setups and let them develop. But certainly SoFi would be one of them.
I like SoFi. I was trying to find out like which names are potentially moving around the most here. We did get a nice bounce back half hour or so for Palo Alto. I mean, this was down almost 10% there. Maybe it was even. I don't know. Right off the open was its lowest print. So it got into 147s and change, maybe 147.50, I guess. Now you're up to 153. So those of you that bought, congratulations. I was saying 3-day rule for myself. And I know there's some people in the chat there, Hamster, I think, or a few others that sat there and took a 151 or 150 fill. That was a great one, it seems like, as it's on the way back up. So, sometimes you can't keep good stocks down, but Palo Alto's been down for quite a while. And then the missed on the guide as well, so guide lower. But earnings beat top and bottom line the last quarter, just not the most aggressive guide forward that investors obviously were looking for. But there it is, nice little bounce back today for PanW, and I was just going to say PLTR, nice bounce back day for Palantir as well. As you could see, that Palantir today gets an upgrade from Mizuho, and that's all it takes, and it's up 5%, crazy, because it was up 3% early, and It's just so stupid because everything, like now I'm short the futures, everything I wrote down was longs today, and there goes Palantir. So it's frustrating for me to have not taken that early. Just a lot of consolidation, and I guess, you know, we learn more every day about the way we trade and what we need to be looking for and everything. So we saw that. Obviously, we were waiting. Once we saw 135 hold, we were waiting down there, but that didn't come through. And then it just broke higher, right? I mean, if we had that crystal ball to be able to see this in the futures, then great. But we weren't. And so I think that, you know, just taking the pre-market break on a strong name, since you missed the bottom, probably would have been okay. And it breaks at 940s-ish. So that's probably okay. This is just a 1 minute chart. Now you got to wait. We saw yesterday on, I don't know if it was Palantir or not, but yeah, it was right there. So there's the pullback into VWAP after a strong move. That pullback doesn't happen until about midday, but it does come back into VWAP. So for me on Palantir, still looking for that trade because VWAP is actually a pretty good one lining up right now with some hopeful some support. So yeah, if Palantir can get back to 138.50, still needs about $1.50 downside before that happens. It looks like the TQs and the Nasdaq want to take out the high of the day here again. So we'll have to sit in this trade as we just took, as we just took some outs again at this 25 period moving average. Maybe we're onto something there. I need to do a little bit more work. All right, Adara, what you got over there?
Another day, another AI deal for Figma, or so it seems. FIG on the upside here. They're partnering up with Claude now, or Claude, however you want to call it. Claude posted about a minute ago here on X. You can now push what you're building into Claude code directly into Figma. So it looks like some kind of integration here. Unclear if this was already a known entity, but either way here, it's worth noting Claude posting about it. Figma, much like another name reporting after the bell today, DoorDash, pushing higher into that earnings report after the bell. They both reported 405. Back to you.
Okay. Well, if you liked Figma at 80, then you're really going to like it at 50. And if you liked it at 50, then you must have really liked it at 35.
That's a tough
and then
one.
at 30, and then at 20, and then to the 10, to the 5, and touchdown for, I don't know, man. It's just been a really bad IPO. But, I mean, it's making a bottom. The question is, has it actually mattered? There was only one time in October, did you actually get a support level which gave you a winning trade for Figma? But this seems like a market which wants to reward you for, at least right now, for some of these, I guess, what are we calling these, like dead cat bounce trades?
Yeah, I don't mind calling it that.
Let's just call it those, because those are the names that are really going. So I have my eyeballs on Wendy's, and I know everyone's talking about the Nelson Peltz and Wendy's, but I can't ignore this big breakout. This is actually pre-market. So the open is here at 9:30, and it dips into VWAP to start the trend line. Then we dip in again and hold the trend, and we dip in again and hold the trend. So now you have 3 points on this one. So for myself, I'm just going to be staring down Wendy's. We're in a trend, the slowest trend break of all time on ZSL, trying to just play it step by step into VWAP. Like, it's just essentially like very slowly breaking this trend up. But I just heard Mattel is going in my ear.
It's not really.
Oh, it's not really?
Nah. Well,
what happened to this thing in the afternoon? What the heck happened in the afternoon on this stock? Sort of randomly just dropped 3% in the final hour.
Nvidia was not great.
Yikes. Because we know Mattel is trying to fill in a gigantic gap from obviously back last week, as you guys can plainly see. So if it was going, there'd be another potential gap filler, but I don't see it doing anything. Wendy's far more interesting. And now that we've waited for it to, and look at the 15-minute, obviously if it closes and breaking the trend line on the 3, it'll also be doing it on the 15. And you let it get to a resistance spot and then look for a setup. And the setup for me is just it breaking the trend underneath $8. Once it closes underneath, short, prior bar high out, stop, and then play it into VWAP. Let's see how the US dollar is doing. We opened the show talking about it, and now Adara is going to give us a bit of a refresher.
Time to talk about that DXY. Now, it's worth noting we actually closed basically flat here, down about 0.01% rather here on the DXY yesterday. So we did break what could have been a now 3-day winning streak. But either way, DXY continuing to bounce here once again. And you're going to want to watch the dollar at 2 p.m. today. Why? Because we have the FOMC meeting minutes coming out. Now, in the meantime, I do want to take a look here at the March 2026 Fed meeting expectations here, 94% of participants, so the vast majority still expecting we're not going to get a rate cut, but the FOMC meeting minutes could provide us with some perspective. Now, it's worth noting these minutes generally don't give us a play-by-play of why each person voted, though it'll say terms like most members thought this, most members thought that, so you'll get kind of a sense of what the consensus is. And that's significant because there's been very little consensus at the Fed as of late. Now, this infographic shows that the last 5 Fed meetings, we had at least one dissenting vote at each of them. So there has been a lot of dissent lately. Now, if you look here at the actual voting breakdown, January 28th, 2026, we did have 2 members voting against that decision to hold rates. We had both Waller and Myron thinking that we could have had a 25 basis point cut, but the vast majority of voting members deciding to change, not to change rates. Now, the other reason I mentioned this voting and non-voting distinction is because when you get the commentary in the minutes, they include voting and non-voting members. So it's not like they separate whose opinions are what. So just keep that in mind. I'll go through those meeting minutes for you right when they come out at 2 p.m. Eastern. Now back to you.
It's like we went short and then we went long, and now we're long on the futures there. I felt like the long was probably the better trade as we continue to go higher, but maybe now the short might work. Like, see, short. And if I just held the shorts, it would have printed again, but we go long again down there at 93, 94, giving me an average price right now of 02, which is fine. But yeah, watching out. This 21 periods held. If we break lower, then we can get out, right? Breaking back down below 80s is a stop out. For me right there. Just a little bit of a frustrating day for me. Sharif just asked, like, how's it going? I was like, well, I was, short Nvidia, then short the Qs, now long. Like, it's a lot of back and forth, and I just wish we would have, maybe just stayed with our long thinking here today instead of trying to think about the market as well. And then especially with a name like Palantir, I mean, up 5% there today. Was started up 2%. Or how about Micron? We had some negative news on SanDisk a little bit, and Micron's up 6%. So who knows? But what we do know is what's for lunch. And today, well, I wasn't here on Friday. You mentioned it was Mexican flag. Today's Mexican flag again.
Well, this time
right now. So this time it will be tacos, but it's not. It is pork. It's similar.
Oh.
Pork's my least favorite, but it's pork fajitas. I mean, it should be okay. We'll see how it's seasoned and whatnot. So pork fajitas right there with Mexican seasoned. Okay, so there you go, Neil. Maybe you get some chili seasoning.
Like the chili was, no, first of all, the chili was Mexican flag too, and there was literally zero seasoning in it. No, but like actually zero. It was ground beef, and I don't even know what the sauce was, and some beans in there, and you can't call that chili.
Yeah, man, stop hating on the caterer so much, man. Okay.
What it is that, like, it's a caterer. They have to cater to an entire office, so you can't make something with a really good tang or just like a good amount of
certain
heat.
People have different spice preferences, Adara.
Like, I love spicy food, so my idea of spicy food is not the same as everyone else's idea of spicy food. So for me, that was not chili. My chili, I wanted Homer Simpson that stuff. Like, I'm that dude. Like, I want my chili to.
It needs to be spicy.
Hair in your damn chest, man. Like, that's what
it needs to be spicy. The TQs making you move higher, but we're not done yet, so let's do this one more time. We didn't talk about the sides yet. So pork fajitas should be okay. Roasted veg, okay. Mexican rice, but this is what I really like: the Mexican corn salad.
Okay, that was really good.
Yeah, that's been a tasty treat. So Mexican corn salad. All right, the TQs finally goes upside, so we're not so woe is me anymore as we finally get a little bit out. We got some out at 50.10s. That's the high of the day. And whether or not the market can rip from here or not, can it? Yes, is obviously. I mean, there's a huge opportunity to get going today on the market. But again, we're already up 1 1/4. The Nasdaq rarely has days approaching 2% to the plus side. We've seen them to the downside. So maybe it is due for something upside. I'm going to sit here and take another 10 if we can get it, and there we go. We do get that as it breaks through. So now we say yippee-ki-yay. We don't say the next part. But it is starting to get going now, back up to the upside. So thank you to everybody in the chat, saying, oh my God, we finally went long. And yeah, we finally went long. So now we're long. I keep saying it, that maybe I'll burn it into my head to stay this way. Everything on the damn note today was long. So the fact that, we're down on the day pretty good and didn't take any longs until 10:50 is a little sad face emoji for your boy. And that's a fact, Jack. Mike P. DeRider. But there it goes. We'll see if we can hold this out. Remember, a drop down through 80, kind of where this 50-period moving average. We can keep on changing it. Sharif just got back. I asked him, is it snowing? He said a lot. So not great. I'll see if I can. On my way to the gym, it's a little bit. There's a little coverage there, so maybe we can get underneath. But yeah, a little nasty. We have stuff to film. So again, thank you to everybody watching on TikTok. And we also want to remember that we are now just 6 days away. This is how Obi learned. This is how Sharif learned. This is how Neil learned.
The Academy.
It's kind of how I learned. You see in the background, Sia was there learning right now on the Academy. Everybody, Adara, everybody on the Academy. So that's 6 days from now. You're going to find out everything that Obi's learned on the Academy. Everything that we've all learned. Obi coming up. I just keep saying his name because he's coming up very soon.
Filling in for Joe.
Filling in for Joe.
Well, I mean, like we could sneak peek it. Here, if you're really,
much?
really fast, it looks something like this. There's lots of modules that you can check out.
Dog.
And now that's all you get to see.
My dog is sick too. I'm out of here.
That's it.
Whose
dog is? Oh, Joe's
yeah,
dog.
Joe. Yeah, he was saying. I think he's taking Milo. I don't know if it's. Hopefully he's okay. Yeah, Joe, take the time and
I thought he was just embarrassed about that picture that he drew yesterday.
Oh, of Selena.
The Valentine's Day, because if you're watching the show yesterday,
that's
Joe,
a way better picture than you could draw.
I didn't say I could draw.
Oh, okay.
But I also know I can't draw. If I'm gonna get a picture of my wife, I've asked my brother, who is literally an artist. Hey,
that
man,
takes away the fun of doing it, though. That's what I'm saying. Like
it'd be horror awful.
He didn't say he wasn't good.
Horror awful, or I can just get AI to do it for me. That's the other way to do it. Because that would be interesting. Like, you describe how you see your significant other and see how AI does. Just a couple of quick little moves here. Wendy's did break the trend line, so it confirmed closing underneath this all-day trend. Nelson Peltz investing in Wendy's, and it's up 15 points. That's about it. But it is at a resistance spot, so waited for it to get to resistance on the daily. That's a 50-period SMA, and resistance. What are they doing up there? And then resistance up here as well. There's the picture. I mean, that kind of speaks for itself.
I think it's fine.
I think it's cool. I think it's a cool thing to do.
I mean, that's the whole point. Sharif, I don't understand. The only thing wrong, I don't understand what the wrong in the nose and the mouth of her. That's to me is a little bit of a problem, right there. Like, his poor girlfriend has a completely brown face, but a completely white nose.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
This is so he did miss. There's no doubt he missed the boat there a little bit.
I mean, you think? I mean, a little bit, just a little bit. Little bit. So look.
Figma does report tonight.
No,
so
Figma, I was going to say, Figma running, I see it in the chat. Figma up almost to local tops here at $25. They got a new deal. They report tonight. In terms of earnings this morning, it was all about PanW. And if you were like myself, looking for a stink bid, I threw a stink bid in, I said this last night, into CrowdStrike and not PanW, because I'm going to pick that one up on this weakness. Well, suffice to say, this bounce in PanW has caused CrowdStrike not to hit the bid. Oops, that's CoreWeave. See, that's clearly I've been looking at more CoreWeave on the day trade. No, we don't even break support on CrowdStrike. I thought maybe you would break support in sympathy and I'd be able to pick CrowdStrike up somewhere in here. So I will be canceling my stink bid in the personal account because obviously that's not going to fill for me today. ZSL, again, just slowly creeping back up. Just showing you the trade. We showed you Wendy's. ZSL. Silver's not really doing much. It's just we trended, and Silver's trying to trend back into VWAP, so that slow trend is working. Rigetti had a strong power move. It broke trend, but one step down, not all the way into VWAP. So nothing too crazy happening with those ones. And I don't think I want to fight IBIT again, but I probably should have. Oh yeah, checks notes. I probably wrote down, if I wrote down 3880 again today, I'm going to Did I? Oh yeah, of course I did. 38.8. What is it about IBIT that you cannot actually break out anything? So we had a short early on this, and then it goes right into yesterday's high, and there is your rejection as it continues to fall. So yeah, all that strength that was happening in the market right now, well, guess what is not at the high of the day? ETH is back under 2,000. Bitcoin has already pulled back about a point or so, and all of a sudden, we're right back to where we were before, which is on market strength. Crypto is doing nothing for you, everybody. It doesn't mean it's not having a bad day, but you'd like to see this actually sustaining the move instead of falling like an absolute rock. I should have shorted it up there, but it's 11 o'clock. We already told you got a special treat. You've got the professor himself.
Yes.
And not Joe, because we'll update that. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
We'll be back at 2 o'clock. Hopefully the weather isn't completely horrible and you can get to the gym. And, well,
Apparently it's bad. The wife sent me a video.
it's like really bad, eh? Yeah, well, apparently it is pretty bad. It's Toronto. It's winter. That's how it is. We'll enjoy some fajitas, apparently. Oh, that is really bad.
Yeah, it's not so bad here. Let me just show it to you guys. It's not the great. It's not. How do I go full screen?
It's actually
right
not
here.
that bad.
So it's just a lot of snowing action here. That's like on top of our gazebo.